If you've ever dreamed about the serenity of Augusta, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. That's right. It is Masters Week, but also markets are still falling apart. So we're going to make sense of all of that here. Futures are actually significantly up off the lows. We're going to break it down here. Get ready for another exciting week. Benzinga's pre-market playbook for April 7th starts right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks, and happy Monday. I hope that you all had a wonderful weekend away from the chaos. Hopefully your weekend didn't bring you chaos, because we might be set up for another week here of chaos at our job. So hopefully you all had a great weekend. It's great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here this morning. We're locked in and ready to go. Steve, good morning. Welcome back. Happy Monday. Reaching financial freedom. We're going to try, my man. We're going to try. Good morning. Welcome back. Graf, good morning. Welcome back. Charles, welcome back. Sun-kissed Yogi, welcome back. Crimp Biscuit, welcome back. Day Trader, locked in. Day Trader, what do you think of the crypto markets right now? My buy order is still sitting open there at 70K, and I've been seeing some I guess predictions of where the crypto market bottoms anywhere between 60 and 70K. In fact, one of the stories we're going to cover here today also has that. So I'd like to know what your opinion is. Where are the buy spots and what are the coins to buy? No rush on that answer. Ed, this market is going down. You got to check your books out. Down to get your, the market are going down. Get your checkbooks out. Sounds like Ed's getting ready to buy. I saw a lot of that sentiment over the weekend too. We'll see if that plays out. Bernhard, good morning. Welcome back. Brandy, good morning. Checking in as always. Welcome back. 3D, locked in. Good morning. Happy Monday. Quantum, good morning. Arch, ACH Raf, good morning. Andrea, good morning. White Chocolate Mocha, locked in. We can start our day. Good morning. Dermal, good morning. Michael, good morning. Tyler, good morning. Ralph, good morning. Relaxed by Music. That sounds awesome. Good morning. JJ, good morning. Benzinga's clock is behind. It might just be the stream being a tad delayed. Sometimes we have a little bit of a delay with the stream provider, but I don't think it's anything to worry about. Okay, folks, let's get rolling. Jim says margin call. Hopefully you don't use margin. That's been the easiest way to avoid margin calls, is to just not use it. My number of mentors when I first started, one of the things that they universally said was, don't use margin, because it can get you in trouble. Jane, good morning. Amazing, good morning. And XIII, good morning. All right, let's take a look at the chart, start breaking it down like a fraction. Here is your SPY, and look at this. We continue to fall here. We did, in the overnight, we did test the 20% pullback level. So S&P futures here currently sitting at down 2.44%. This is significantly at 49.86. This is significantly up off the lows. The low print that we have overnight was 48.32. When the futures opened last night, for any of you that were busy enjoying your weekend or watching some of the sports that was going on, when the futures opened last night, big move down. Huge move down, and the low, at least so far, was put in. That low is what we're going to be watching here today. So in the SPY, you're basically going to be looking at 480. And how about that? The Andy pullback level, something from Happy Hour saying that, yeah, this market could pretty much go to 480 if things really get out of control. And looks like that's kind of what we tapped here. So we'll see if we get that here in the regular session. Couple of other things to note. One of Happy Hour's participants is located in Asia, and he watches all of the different markets. He always has good updates for us. It was a brutal day for the markets in Asia. Despite closing off the lows, the Hang Seng technology index, that's like the NASDAQ of China, plunged 17.2%. The Hang Seng index was down 13.2%. The SGX CNBC China growth down 11.1%. The Taiwan Stock Exchange down 9.7%. Shenzhen's down 9.7%. Nikkei down 7.8%. Topix down 7.8%. And the Singapore Straits Times down 7.6%. Kospi down 5.65%. So a lot of the declines we're seeing overseas as well. Those declines seem to be much more than what we're seeing here, although our markets haven't opened yet. So what I want to exercise here is caution. The sentiment out there is really bad. Some of the experienced traders that I'm talking to are starting to look at buys. But the one thing that I just kind of want to reiterate to everybody there is that those people that have been doing this for a long time, that have higher levels of capital, they can stomach more drawdowns here. So if they end up buying today and the market still sells off for 2 days, it might not be the end of the world for them. So just be tactical here today. No reason to be a hero. And I think that if you're looking for maybe an oversold bounce here, it makes a lot of sense. Looking at the SPY here, we have a RSI reading of 20.95. I think I was seeing a stat that's like the lowest in 20 years or something like that. Very comparable to COVID. Fear and greed, I think it's 4. I think Becky Quick said that this morning. So lot of fear out there. We are at a possible bounce level. Again, we really haven't got much in the way of bounces. So we're going to see if we can confirm that here today. Again, I would just be very, very tactical. And the other thing is that I would be very careful about trading junk here today. So we'll go through all of that stuff. I do want to share a couple of other things here real quick. The other thing that I really want to kind of get across here is just keep your cool. I know that when you see markets really kind of plunge like this, it's definitely scary. There's a whole bunch of crazy trade policy that no one can seem to decipher and all of that, but still keep your cool. 20% corrections occur. The last one we had was in 2022. So it really isn't even that long ago. Did not have a recession from that. Some of the other traders that have been doing this for far longer than one of them said, I lived through the 87 crash. Even that did not result in a recession. Look to the 52-week moving average, and you'll have a good chance of finding a bottom. So again, just like last week, not panicking, staying cool. That's going to be the name of the game. For those of you that pay attention to the inverse Kramer, I think that he was on TV last night calling for another 20% from here. I think that puts us at about S&P 500 at about 4,000. We'll see if we get that. I know that there are a lot of people out there saying, well, if Kramer's calling for 20%, the bottom's in. We can, if you want to trade that, that's going to be up to you. I think that the safer move here is just kind of being deliberate and tactical and waiting for any type of bottom to be confirmed. One more thing that I wanted to share with you. This is another quote from a gentleman I've been following from the very beginning. Name is Kenny Polcari. Some of you might follow him. Some of you might have heard about him. He's been doing this for a long time. He's the chief market strategist at Slate Stone Wealth. Passionate voice on the markets. I recommend all of you follow him. He's fantastic. He's also an amazing cook. Sometimes gives his recipes out there. I've tried a few of them. They're delicious. Anyway, he goes on to say, Wednesday's tariff announcement. Thursday, the market closed on the lows, which is not a good sign. Friday, the market closed on the lows again, not a good sign. And now Monday morning futures are sliding lower again as the flush continues. We said last week, by the way, markets don't bottom on a Friday, right? Well, hopefully nobody tried to be a hero on Friday, because here we go looking at red arrows again today. But I digress. All while 25 plus countries, Hassett was on TV saying that was 50 plus, but Kenny admits that he's just trying to be safer here. All while 25 plus countries come to the table to negotiate. We did see public headlines over the course of the weekend from India, Israel, Vietnam. There's another one, Taiwan. So we've seen Italy. So we've seen a bunch of countries publicly say that they're looking to talk. They're looking to make a deal. Kenny here quotes that as being a positive. Headline suggests it's only all about China and their refusal to negotiate. That's something that we've talked about here on this show. Algos amplify the negativity, and the speed at which they abandon amplifies the losses. Buyers know this and deliberately pull inline bids. Void creates a vacuum. Remember, there are an equal number of buyers and sellers. Buyers, though, are in control, testing the anxiety of sellers. The more the void, the more they fall. So again, this is someone that's been doing this for a long, long time, has seen quite a bit, and just kind of giving you a pretty good outline of what's going on there. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of this. U.S. futures slump following a massive tariff-induced sell-off. Experts warn of a brewing Great Depression-like pattern. The contrarian in me loves seeing talk about this. If everyone's talking about a Great Depression and comparing things to the Great Depression long before we're even close to that, generally speaking, the contrarian in me is saying, oh, that might be a good sign. But again, we'll see how it shakes out. I don't know how this is going to end. not going to pretend like I do. I'm going to continue to play the hand that the market deals me on a regular basis. We're going to try and make educated decisions along the way. U.S. stock futures fell sharply on Monday after 2 days of decline last week. 4 major benchmark indices were over 3% lower in pre-market trading today. Again, those are up off the lows. The sell-off that started on Thursday intensified on Friday as China introduced its retaliatory measures to the U.S. tariffs. As of Friday, the S&P 500 was nearing bear market zone as it closed 17.46% lower than the previous record high. Remember, we did end up testing that bear level, which is 20% from the all-time highs. Dow was down 14.99%. I think it's safe to just call that 15%, no? Down from its 52-week high, whereas the NASDAQ 100 was already in bear market territory, down 21.71% lower from its highs. The hopes of a Fed put remained on standby as Jerome Powell said on Friday, quote, "It's too soon to say that there will be what will be the appropriate path for monetary policy," end quote. So Powell here, I guess some folks view this as Powell versus Trump. Powell holding strong here, as we expected him to do. The 10-year Treasury bond yielded 3.93%, and the 2-year bond was at 3.51%. We told you that the main goal of this entire thing is to bring down interest rates, and that 10-year seems to be the thing that they're really looking at there. The S&P 500 and the QQQ, which tracked the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ respectively, declined in the pre-market on Monday. Friday's economic data showed a strong March non-farm payroll growth, grew 228,000, exceeding expectations, though the employment rate unexpectedly rose to 4.2%. An average hourly earnings increased as predicted by 0.3 Monday and 3.8% year over year. Now let's get to some insights here. The S&P 500 and Dow are showing a worrying pattern of steep consecutive drops reminiscent of the Great Depression. There we go. We're going to keep throwing it out there. Carson Research chief market strategist Ryan Dietrich noted on X that a 4% drop in the S&P 500 on Monday would be its third straight over 4% loss, a pattern seen only 3 times before, all during the Great Depression. He has a great little stat there. We've been covering Ryan's stats for a while. It does really, really great research there. White Oak Consultancy's Jason Gopfert, God, Jason, I really hope I did all right with your name there, pointed out that Dow futures suggest a third consecutive loss exceeding 3%, a pattern only seen during the Great Depression. The sentiment graph shared by High shows varied Dow performance in the weeks and months following these rare historic sell-off signals. Stephanie Link down here saying sentiment is everything and it's poor right now. I think I've blocked more angry folks than I've ever done in the past few days, and I'm just trying to help. Thanks all. Bye. As in B-U-Y, not B-Y-E. So again, some of the experienced traders seem to be looking for spots to buy here. They seem to be looking for something tactical where they can find any type of bottom. One of the other things to note here is a lot of these folks are longer term investors. So when they're talking about buying, they don't necessarily have a very, very short time horizon. A lot of these folks like to add for the long term. Now, getting to this story, we talked a little bit about this. We're going to do this next here. Trump White House says over 50 nations are ready to come to the table on tariffs. This was what Hassett was saying over the weekend. Senior White House officials state that over 50 countries that were the targets of the reciprocal tariffs by the United States have since reached out to begin negotiations on the high import tariffs that have sent the global markets spiraling over the past week. Director of the White House Economic Council, Kevin Hassett, doubled down on the tariffs imposed by the Trump administration last week. During his appearance with ABC News this week with host George Stephanopoulos, Hassett mentioned that over 50 countries have already reached out to the White House since the tariffs were announced, willing to negotiate new trade agreements with the U.S. government. There's a clip here for anyone that wants it. Producer went ahead and threw the link in the chat there. Awesome stuff. So let's see if there was anything else. Here, he further added that the reason we have such a persistent long-running trade deficit is because these people, the other countries, have a very elastic supply, referring to the dumping of goods by countries like China across price ranges, which are making manufacturing untenable within the United States. Two of America's largest trading partners, China and the European Union, which make up 8 and 13% of total trade volumes, respectively, have given indications of retaliation. China recently imposed 34% reciprocal tariffs on all U.S. imports, and the European Union is planning retaliatory strikes this week. That's the one wild card here that I still think we need to be on deck for, or ready for, if you will. We haven't really heard from Europe. I did see that there was some talk about maybe postponing some of the retaliatory stuff from April 15th to April 30th. But again, this is still one of the other shoes to drop, and this will definitely have an impact on things. Recent former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, who hates this, and he's been very clear about that, also opposed Hassett's views, going as far as to call tariffs, quote, the biggest self-inflicted wound we've ever put on our economy in history. I think there are a number of people that would agree with that as well. Summers adds that if you add in the loss to consumers, the total bill for this misadventure could get as high as $30 trillion. Now, we also had some more news here. Ackman came out over the weekend. Ackman, known for being more on the Democratic side throughout his life, but supported President Trump in this last election here. Looks like he might be getting a little bit of cold feet here. Bill Ackman, a prominent investor, expressed concerns over the U.S. tariff policies in social media post on Sunday. Ackman highlighted the potential economic repercussions of escalating tariffs under Trump. His tweet's long, so I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's in the story here for anyone that's interested. The other thing that he did here was he also took a shot at Howard Lutnick over the weekend in one of the other posts. He's actually this morning, since then, walked that back. Basically accusing Lutnick of doing this for himself and then kind of walking that back. So it'll be interesting to see if we get anything else out of that. But Ackman here, not thrilled, as you can probably imagine. Also, I'm seeing here on CNBC that they are going to have Peter Navarro, the White House Senior Trade and Manufacturing Advisor, on at 8:40 Eastern. Obviously, we'll be live on the show here. Won't be able to hear what it is that he's saying, but that is coming up here. We'll see if we get anything new or if the markets respond to that. Now, really quick, let me go ahead and we want to talk about Bitcoin here. Then we're going to take a look at a Bitcoin chart real quick as well. Bitcoin could test 70K amid fears of, quote, a Black Monday panic, says analyst Van de Pop. What a fun name to say. I mean, I'm probably, I just tell you right now, I'm probably going to deliver a lot of quotes if I get to say Van de Pop on a regular basis. What a sweet last name. As the global market slides. Okay, renowned cryptocurrency analyst Michael Van de Pop, let's go, warned Monday that Bitcoin could test the 70K level amid what is described as a Black Monday panic selling. Well, you know what Ryan's saying to that. Come to Papa. We've been waiting on that 70K level for some time. I've not altered my order at all. I'm just going to leave it sitting there. If it fills, it fills. If it doesn't, we'll go from there. Black Monday, Bitcoin back to the lows. Van de Pop wrote on X, quote, I think we'll see a roller coaster 1 to 2 weeks in which we're having a test of the lows on Bitcoin. It can go as deep as 70K from here. Another trader that I've followed for a long time that I would not consider just like a Bitcoin bull, but someone that's has a ton of experience and extremely adept at trading these things, thinks that Bitcoin will probably bottom between 60 and 65K. Day trader, this is kind of what I was getting at when I had asked you earlier here what you think about the crypto market. Do you have a target bottom price? I guess would be the easiest way to say that. Let me know. And if you do, let me know what that is. Okay. There we go. I think that was it from here. We already covered that. The Chamath quote. Thank you. Okay. We already covered the Ryan Dietrich quote. Despite the panic, the crypto analysts remained optimistic about Bitcoin's long-term outlook. That's where I sit. I'm still optimistic for Bitcoin in the long term, but I recognize that it being a very highly speculative asset, it's certainly not going to be unaffected by what's going on right now. But again, I am still in the long-term camp of believing in this. Anyway, advising investors to consider the current correction as a buying opportunity. Quote, if we talk about Bitcoin specific, then these are the areas that you want to be allocating assets. It's a 30% correction from the high. In 12 to 24 months from now, you'll be happy that you bought in at these areas. Now, I know Bitcoin on this show, we've got a lot of Bitcoin bulls. We've got a lot of folks that we'll look into some of the other altcoins as well. And then we also have people that really dislike Bitcoin here and think that it's the Ponzi scheme, pyramid scheme, and all of that. So I'm interested in all of this. I'm interested in you folks. If you guys have a spot on Bitcoin that you're interested in, or even if you think that, hey, this is complete junk and it's going to zero, I'm interested. Let me know. Let me know what you think about all that. Venture capitalist Chamath Palihapitiya suggested traditional market rescue mechanisms may no longer be politically viable, noting that, quote, the bottom 50% of Americans have zero interest in the stock market, while bond king Jeff Gundlach warned that the Federal Reserve rate cuts were unlikely unless the losses in risk assets greatly increase. One of the other things that, one of the other quotes that I wanted to get to, and I, of course, lost that here. Let me see if I can find that. Just give me one sec. Was about that. Here we go. This is from Besant. This was with a Tucker Carlson interview, just regarding this last quote down here from Chamath about the bottom 50% of Americans have zero interest in the stock market. Here's the quote from Besant that we got over the weekend. Quote, the top 10% of Americans own 88% of equities. 88% of the stock market. The next 40% owns the 12% of the stock market. The bottom 50 has debt. They've got credit card bills. They rent their homes. They have auto loans. We've got to give them some relief. So Besant here really kind of telling you, and some of the other folks are making the same point here, this move down disproportionately hurts more wealthy folk. Those that own stocks, if you folks in your real life know anybody that owns stocks or own them yourself, you know exactly what I'm talking about right here. It is not fun. And I'm not insulated from this. Don't think that I'm some savant here. I've been getting crushed too over these past couple of days. Even on the days where I make a successful day trade, it's not enough to offset some of the losses. Again, the longer term view here is what I'm trying to stay on. And it looks like one of the things that Besant is kind of reminding you here is that, hey, this move down should actually be good for lower income earners. Again, I don't know if that's how it's going to play out, but this is what they're telling you, and this is what they're looking at. One more. Oh, you know what? I wanted to take a look at the Bitcoin chart. Let's do that here real quick. Let me share this tab. Go to my crypto chart, and let's discuss some levels. First of all, I guess the only thing that I want to know right off the top here is anyone buying this pull in Bitcoin? Here's our chart. Now, remember, we had a number of things going on here in this chart, so I kind of want to set the stage for all of this again. First of all, we have our death cross, okay? We have our death cross right here. And actually, just kind of looking on where this actually crosses, this was yesterday, right? So Sunday here, April 6th, we end up getting the death cross. You can see we actually, with this move down, we've fallen out of this makeshift channel. I call it a makeshift channel because basically what this is not actually a channel. We basically drew two trend lines here, and now it looks like we're falling out of the bottom of that. I do have this former breakout level marked off here. That's going to be at 73,000 at 73 and a half. I've got it here at 73,484, but I eyeballed it. Let's call it 73 and a half. That seems to be one level here that we're likely going to test if the pull continues. And then beneath that, you can see I've actually got a couple of other levels here. I do have the 65K level that we just mentioned before. You can see that that's actually kind of a consolidation area. One might even call it a midpoint. This goes from the beginning half of 2024 through through November of 2024, right about that area there. And then I also have 55K here. Now, I'm not sure if we're going to see this, and I haven't seen many calls for Bitcoin to really plunge beneath 60K. There are a couple of people out there that just don't believe in it, that say, oh yeah, 30K, 20K, or going to zero. Generally speaking, I try and remove the outliers of these predictions and then focus on the meat of that. Of course, there are other bulls out there saying, oh yeah, this is just temporary, and we're going to go to 500K in the next year. I don't know that that's the case. So I'm just going to let the chart tell me this is where we're at on Bitcoin. The big thing that I wanted to bring to your attention here is that the death cross that we've been talking about coming up has now happened. So if you think that the death cross is actually going to resolve Bitcoin lower here, what are those levels that you'd be looking to add? That's really the key point here. None of us know where it's going to turn around, but I'm sure we all have some thoughts based on the chart and based on what's going on. So this is kind of what I'm looking at here for Bitcoin. Please let me know if you are trading Bitcoin or adding to the long term here. Let me know what you plan on doing. Okay. Next here, it would not be a morning here on PreMarket Playbook if we did not discuss Tesla. And I'm actually sure Tesla's had a kind of a wild pre-market here this morning. I would imagine we're going to have some more opportunities than Tesla here today. What's going on? Dan Ives, well-known technology bull, Tesla bull as well. Dan Ives cuts his Tesla target to 315, slashes Apple by 23% amid the tariff fallout, warns Elon Musk-led EV maker faces, quote, darker days ahead, end quote. Okay, Wedbush Securities analyst Dan Ives says he's lowered his Tesla price target from 315 to 550 while maintaining an outperform rating, citing growing concerns about the electric vehicle makers' brand perception and softening demand. Our long-standing bull view of Tesla remains, but there is no denying that this is a pivotal moment of truth for Musk to turn things around, or darker days are ahead. Also, we have another quote here from Sawyer Merritt. Wedbush analyst Dives Tech has lowered his Tesla price target, and goes on to quote Dan Ives there. Gene Munster of Deepwater Asset Management linked Tesla's struggles to a recent brand damage and predicted 2025 deliveries could drop 9% from the 1.7 million vehicles delivered last year. Now, I want to pause right there because delivery numbers are one thing, obviously, but one of the other things that this kind of reminded me of is we are going to have earnings coming up here. And given everything that's going on, it doesn't look like any of this is really going to be resolved. I'm not even sure how much clarity we're going to have by the time the next earnings reports comes around. And the reason that that's important is because the CEOs are going to have to make some type of announcement on this call. They're going to have to guide. They're going to have to kind of figure out where their bar is. I suspect we're going to see weak earnings for another quarter or two here, but I also suspect that the bar is going to continue to be lowered during these earnings calls, setting up for another move higher. Now, how long does that take? That's going to be the big $64,000 question, and that's what we're going to have to focus on here. That's for sure. The tariff economic Armageddon unleashed by Trump is a complete disaster for Apple, given its massive China production exposure, I've said, according to Investors Business Daily. Quote, in our view, no U.S. tech company is more negatively impacted by these tariffs than Apple, with 90% of iPhones produced and assembled in China. So that leads me to my next question here. Who has a level to add Apple at? If it's a short-term level, and you're just looking for a trade, that's fine. What is it? But if it's a long-term ad for investment purposes, what is that too? And perhaps more importantly, what is the time horizon on that? Just to kind of finish this off here real quick, these challenges coincide with a broader market turmoil. Tesla stock plunged 10.42% on Friday following Trump's announcement on new tariffs, including a 10% charge on all imported goods and 25% on foreign automobiles. The sell-off wiped approximately $11 billion from Elon Musk's net worth. I think the calls for or the comments there about Elon really just kind of enriching himself and all of this, hard to buy that with that much net worth wiped out so quickly. We'll see again how that shakes out over the time here. Let's see if there was anything else. Tesla faces headwinds from intensifying competition, particularly from Chinese manufacturers like BYD, and the decline of market share in Europe. Europe definitely seems upset. We'll see if they continue to sell Tesla, and we'll see where Tesla goes. Let me go back to the chart here. We'll take a look at some Tesla levels. We'll see if we've got anything on deck here for that. Here's the SPY. Let me bring up Tesla and add that watermark back here real quick so we can all see what stock this is. Give me one sec here. Okay. All right, here we are. Let me hide the Fibonacci drawing. I don't really think actually we are. Let me take note of this level here. The 212.25 is the 0.236 fib level. We haven't tested that yet, but if we continue to move down, it sure looks like we will. If we hide the rest of these drawings, you can see we actually came right down to this support. We started making this support down here at the beginning of March 11th, March 10th, 11th. We're coming back into that level. We've broken beneath the 500-day again. We'll see if Tesla actually hunts for a level lower here or if it bounces from this area. Williams percent R definitely oversold, but RSI from the recent run-up has come up a bit and actually still shows that we might have some more ways down or a little bit more to go here on Tesla to the downside. One of the things that I'm going to be watching here for a lot of the different tech names is going to be option flow here today. I do want to see if people are taking bullish bets. And I also want to try and discern the time frame of those bullish bets. Are they trying to just kind of trade this short term? Might they be adding leaps long term? The whole 9 yards. That's what I'm going to be kind of sifting through here today on Tesla. Let me know if anything has changed with your view on Tesla. I still expect this to be quite volatile here today. Now, do have a positive note here, and it's on everyone's favorite streaming company, Netflix. Netflix is seen as the safe bet amid market volatility, says analyst. Strong value digital model make it recession ready. Okay. Actually, this sentiment is shared by a number of different traders in the Benzinga ecosystem. One of our happy hour members trades Netflix all the time and does quite well with it. I'll try and get an update for that. His view right now, long for the long term. Anyway, Netflix here has been identified as a promising investment option by an analyst, demonstrating resilience amid market volatility. We've kind of seen that here. It's no stranger to pullbacks, but by comparison here really has outperformed. The streaming giant's digital consumer-facing business model and robust value prop make it a stronger contender even during a recession, according to Seeking Alpha analyst YR Research. Now, we've talked about Netflix a lot before. If the economy is entering a recession and the consumer is pulling back on their spending and they're deciding to pare back some of their subscriptions or pare back some of their spending, you can absolutely make the case that a $15 or whatever it is, I'm not even sure what folks pay monthly. In fact, let me know what you pay monthly for Netflix if you are so inclined. The charge here, or the monthly charge here, is so much lower to some of the other things, and it allows you effectively pay a little amount and have all of this entertainment at home. So if your goal is to stay home, not spend as much money, maybe Netflix is a little bit more palatable for that. You can get content for entertainment for the entire family, from sports to kids shows to dramas, documentaries, the whole 9 yards. And staying at home and being entertained could be a very, very easy way to kind of cool the spending or close the consumer checkbook there. Netflix viewership saw a nearly 8% increase in Q1 2025, indicating strong subscriber and revenue growth. Despite its premium trading, current consensus estimates seem conservative, leading to a $1,000 price target based on a 33 times multiple on 2026 earnings. Is that multiple too high? What do you think? Hans here in the chat saying, agree, Netflix is recession proof. Hans, you are not the only person that has that viewpoint. We've seen a lot of that here recently, and it'll be interesting to see how Netflix holds up here. In the pre-market, Netflix, not even really down that much. Looks like it closed 855 and change on Friday. Current price here, 838. So Netflix fairly strong by comparison here in the pre-market. Let's see here. I'll scroll down here. Okay, that's pretty much it for Netflix. So, here. No, see, I knew there was one more stat in here I wanted to read. Sorry, it took me so long. Over the past decade, Netflix EPS has grown at an impressive 41% CAGR, and the cost and the stock has returned over 3,000%. The company estimates that it has only captured 40% of the total addressable market, including significant growth potential. So this stat always interests me because I seem to be one of the last holdouts that hasn't paid for Netflix, and even that's not true anymore. Last fall, when the Bears were on Hard Knocks, I had to break down. And buy it. Now I bought it only for a month, but I did end up paying for it. So it's curious. The stats here about, only 40% of the total addressable market. How much more can they get, I suppose, is my question. If we start to see some more gains in that, I think that could really kind of set this up for kind of a bullish move higher. But we'll see here on Netflix. We'll see if it is actually recession proof, and we'll see how all of that goes. Okay. 835. Let's do charts. We don't have a guest until Matt Malley comes on later. We're still about 10, 15 minutes out from 13. And in fact, when I checked on the movers earlier, they were less than impressive. I guess let me go ahead and check that here again. There did not seem like there was a lot of news on these. Still seems like we're seeing some moves here, but not a lot of news. So we'll cover all of these movers here when 13 shows up. We'll give you some levels for that. We'll take a look at the stock and how they actually trade. But yeah, movers list looks a little bit light. So I think what we should do instead then is take a look at some of these bigger stocks here. What would you like to add for the long term? And conversely, what do you think you can trade for the short term? One more thing that I wanted to mention here real quick was the VIX. We've talked a lot about the VIX. One of the things we said last week is that, or before Friday, is that, hey, you know, things are selling off and the VIX is elevated, but it's really not above 30. Well, on Friday, we actually saw that spike above 40. And then in the overnight session, we actually had a high print on the VIX of 60.13. Now, the VIX has really melted since then. Current reading here, 47.6, but we're going to keep an eye on the VIX here all day. Okay. Learn with Moses, you tagged me. What did I miss there? What did I miss? All right, let me scroll through here, see if I missed anything. True Med, I'm targeting Bitcoin at 50K. Thank you. I was asking for a price level there. Here you go. Looks like you're looking for Bitcoin 50K. I'm assuming you're going to add there. Would that be a long-term ad, short-term ad for a trade? What are you thinking there? Okay. Let's see what else we have here. I don't think we have any other levels here for Bitcoin yet, but we'll see how that shakes out over the course of the day here. Okay. See if anyone else gave me. Ed, you want to take a look at the biggest decliners? You know what, Ed? That's actually a really good call. Sometimes we don't do that enough here. First one here looks like this is going to be a ETF. That's the Ether ETF, interestingly enough. IPDN, did this have pieces of news? This is down almost 32% here. Don't see any news on this. CXAI, this is one of the movers that we have traded recently. Don't see any news here on this. And then we're seeing a lot more ETFs here. So, Ed, it actually looks like the same deal here. Not a lot of news-driven decliners here other than what's going on with the broader market. And it looks like the ETFs there kind of holding most of the spots there. Learn with Moses, you're asking, please ask Matt Malley if he can give away a free month of access to his trading group. I cannot ask him that, Learn with Moses. We do, I will say, though, that I know you're asking for a free month here. The reality, and I've posted this a number of times, I'll try and get it for you again here. The reality is that we do have a level for his subscription that gives you a 7-day trial. So that's about the best that I can do for you. That link is in the chat there. But I'm glad that you're looking. I'm glad that you're looking to Matt, because I'll tell you what, he has been extremely good and extremely tactical recently. I tell you what I will do here. I'll ask him what he thinks about where we're at and what some things that he might be looking at here today. That I can do. Okay. All right. What stocks do you folks want to take a look at here? Graph, you're looking at one of the stocks I'm looking at here, PanW. I guess we can start there. Here we go. Palo Alto has really pulled back from its high. I've been saying from the beginning of this year, one of the themes that I'm on here this year is for cybersecurity, and I do believe that PanW, I guess along with CrowdStrike here, best in breed. Now, PanW, huge pullback here. We've really broken beneath the 500-day. Current price down here, just about 145. That 500 days at 151 and some change, and we have oversold readings across the board here. 23.86 on the RSI, minus 100 on the Williams percent R. So definitely oversold. This would be one candidate that I'd be looking at for a bounce here. Again, one of the things that I'm going to try to do here today, I'm going to try to make sure that we bottom. The last thing that I want to do is get all gung-ho, loaded up for a particular bounce, only to have that get slammed back down to the lows. I'm certainly not going to promise anything, and I definitely want to wait the open out here. We'll see if we pull a little bit. We'll see if we form bottom. We'll see if we retest that 480 level on the SPY, currently sitting at 494 right now. So we'll see if we go down there and test any of those levels. PanW, definitely one of the stocks that I'm looking at for a potential bounce. Now, another support level here, the yen carry trade low, that was 142. So we're currently sitting here at 145-ish. 142 was the time that this thing bounced the last time. And look at the ferociousness of this bounce. Okay, we came down here, tested 142, pretty much straight up from there up to 188. So we're talking 40 plus points of movement here. Again, not saying that we're going to get this on the move back, but PanW being something, or being as part of the theme that I'm bullish on for the year here, this would be one that I think would be palatable for a long-term hold. And again, not trying to just dive in head first here, might nibble on some of these and see how it goes. No reason to try and be a hero unless you are absolutely sure. And even then, just be careful. Hope for the best, plan for the worst. Seems to be the good way to treat that. But PanW here, it's definitely on my list. You folks let me know if this is on your list as well. NVIDIA, you got it. Another key here. This one, we've talked about this one pretty much being owned by everybody. Was giving you targets here of the 99, 100, the bottom end of the parallel channel that we've been observing since the end of last year. We've broken out of that. We're actually, 4 points away, less than 4 points away from the 500-day moving average. I could absolutely see a bounce here. Same deal here with NVIDIA. As with Palo Alto, oversold here. 25.67 on the RSI, minus 99.61 on the Williams %R. This thing definitely oversold, like a lot of the other stocks that we see out there. Really, the question is, where does this bounce from? I'd like for this to maybe bounce off that 500. I think you might get an opportunity to trade that here with tech, especially with NVIDIA. Unsure how long that bounce is going to last. And that's something else that I think that I want to get from you. If any of you folks are trading this for a bounce, what type of upside level are you looking to achieve? If we do bounce, how high do you think we go? And it could be on an individual name or it could be on an ETF, but how high do you think we go? I would say in this, if you're trying to do this for a short-term trade, I think that this increases the importance on being able to scale out. If you catch something that is near, whether it's NVIDIA, Apple, Tesla, or the SPY or anything else, if you catch something and it starts to work for you and your initial goal was going to be short-term gains anyway, I think paying yourself on the way up is one way to lessen the risk and make sure that you're walking away with some profit there. Again, I really want to preach not panicking, staying calm and keeping your cool, as opposed to trying to time something perfectly and really putting yourself behind the 8 ball. Problems that you add to yourself are going to be much harder to get out of. Okay, it looks like Peter Navarro is live here on CNBC. Again, can't hear what he's saying. Looks like the S&P futures have ticked down here. I'm not sure if that's on what he's saying. S&P futures still holding minus 2.55%. And we're still 50 point on the futures chart there. We're still 50 points up off the lows there. So NVIDIA, I think we're getting to a bounce spot. How long is that bounce going to last? That is the big question there. So let me know. NVIDIA is shorting me. I don't know. I mean, I'm 6.5 feet tall, so I'm not sure how much it's making on that, to be quite honest with you. That's a joke, though. All right. CA Forsman. Appreciate you, man. Indeed, we are not in panic mode. Now I would put this out. Is there any time that you folks can remember where you made a decision while you were panicking that ended up being the right one? I think about this sometimes, and I can't come up with anything. I can't come up with a single time where I panicked, where in hindsight, and I understand it's hindsight, but I can't come up with a single example of when I made a decision when I panicked that ended up being the right decision. Can't think of a single time. So I certainly don't want to apply that to what we see here. Okay, Broadcom, Amazon, Palantir. Let's get it. We're going to start here with ticker AVGO. This is going to be very, very similar to NVIDIA here. Obviously, it's going to be in the same sector here with semiconductors. This also approaching the 500-day. Now, this brings me to another point. If you are looking for something to trade here. Obviously, long-term additions into quality companies that you believe in, that's totally exempt from this. If you believe that NVIDIA is going to be much, much higher years from now, totally understand adding NVIDIA on a dip. But if what you're looking for is a short-term trade, and you're not necessarily sure that you want to trade one of these individual names, or perhaps you're not sure which individual name to trade, I would also suggest taking a look at some of those ETFs. The first stocks that I've asked you folks about here both happen to be semiconductors, right? NVIDIA and Broadcom here. So I'm thinking then that if what you're looking for a trade, maybe it might be worth it to try one of these levered ETFs. Again, going into this is a short term. Got to have a plan in case it doesn't work, especially if you're trying to catch a falling knife. Make sure you got your chainmail gloves for that. But one of these might actually be a little bit more palatable, might be easier to trade. It's obviously not a single issue risk here. SOXL would be one. TQQQ would be another. If you're looking for the technology, you can see how far this has fell. So some of these might be trading vehicles if what you're paying attention to the most is technology. Okay, let me go back here to, let me hide Chris's really good comment here about not panicking. We did PanW. Let me go back to Broadcom here and just kind of finish that off. Don't have much more other than I would love to see this come in and test that 135. We're currently at 143. We'll see if we end up getting that here. This actually is a little bit higher than the yen carry trade low. Looks like we have that at just about 130 here on Broadcom. So 135, 130 seem to be the two downside levels that we really have to pay attention to here on Broadcom. Okay, Pete, here we go. Closed out a 14.5% gain in SQQQ, which, to your credit, you called here before we even started talking about that. You were talking about SQQQ. I love that. So really good stuff here. I'm with you on the short-term gains over the next few months. So it looks like you might be looking for something short-term here over the next few months. Like you just said, we'll see if we end up getting that. But more importantly, we are going to start off here with a register ring for Pete. Bang. Even when markets are falling apart, staying calm, staying adaptive to what you're seeing on a regular basis, that can still lead to profits. Pete, very, very well done here. Again, we're going to start today off with some wins, and hopefully we'll see some more wins here. All right, we're going to keep taking a look at the charts, but we're going to bring in the big guns, as they say. We're going to bring on 13 and see how he's doing. 13. Happy Monday, my man. How are you doing here today?
The big guns, huh?
I got to try to, and I don't run them by you ahead of time, so I got to come up with something there. Big guns.
All right.
Oh, good.
So here's what Big Guns has for you today. Good morning, everybody. Looks like there's a few 100% movers. A couple of them are, on the movers list. They appear to be penny stocks, but we can start there if you want. How's everybody doing? What are we looking for today? More downside, probably, but I think there could be a bounce coming.
Yeah, so I could just kind of answer your question here. I will say, just my own temperature check here, very, very unscientific. It seems like the group out there today is ready to go and not panicked.
Cool.
And maybe maybe one of you feels differently than that, but it sure seems like folks are ready here, 13. So I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic about this day. Now, to your point about looking for a potential buy, here's some more anecdotal stuff from over the weekend. I talked to a number of people that are connected to the market, and as you would guess, those people that are connected to the market, they also spent time talking to people that were connected to the market. And one of the things that I couldn't get past is that it seems like there are a lot of folk out there that are ready to buy. And I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. I certainly don't want everyone to feel like it's time to buy, because then it won't be a time to buy. But we have fallen pretty quickly, pretty fast. And as you just mentioned, we are kind of set up in oversold territory for a potential bounce. So with that as the backdrop, 13, are you looking at anything specifically here today?
Oh, I've been nibbling on positions that I already have, just increasing their sizes very small. So I don't want to just jump in on trying to catch a falling knife. I'm not in that business, but these are presenting some pretty opportunistic prices for some of these stocks. Broadcom, is one that I do like for the long term, but it hasn't stopped dropping yet. So I'm not really just going all in on this. Same thing with a whole lot of other stocks. I just don't want to go all in right now, but they are getting to be pretty attractively priced. So consumer staples are going to be an area I'm looking a lot in.
Okay.
Just kind of like some recession-proof names, or recession resistant, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think there's any stock that's a recession-proof name.
Well, that's really good timing, 13, because just before you got on, I was sharing an article about Netflix where a trader literally, in fact, here, I'm going to go back just to make sure I don't misquote somebody here. Here's the story that I was just talking about. Quote, Netflix seen as safe bet amid market volatility. Strong value digital model make it recession ready.
Yeah, recession ready, recession resistant, not recession proof. There's nothing that's recession proof in my opinion. Everything's going to get hit one way or the other. And if the consumer gets hit, then it doesn't really matter. Look at this. I mean, how long have I been talking about this Head and Shoulders?
Some time.
Yeah. So here we are resolving it. I mean, I wasn't anticipating that it was going to be tariffs to take this thing down. But for a while, I've been saying that this is starting to look bearish. It's got a Head and Shoulders pattern. That trend line that you have there, great neckline, even if it is skewed. I do think that we are going to see some lower prices, but this is going to be a more resistant recession stock, or more stock that's more resistant to recessions. I do agree with that, but proof is such a loaded word.
I think that's good. I think that's good, and I like that too. I don't like saying anything is for sure, or anything is proof, or anything like that. So. Okay, what do you think about the 200 here? 808. I think if we move down there, that's a buyable spot for Netflix. I guess call it 809. It's 808.80. So,
I mean, if you're going to go long term with Netflix, it could be a good area to add, but I don't think I'd be jumping completely in there. It still looks like even if it does hit the 200, it has potential to go lower. I mean, I think 700 is still possible.
Yeah, and to your point there about looking like it's going to hit some of these levels and looking like it's going to go lower. I mean, we've talked every day about the SPY. Look at what that did, right? That went to some of these moving averages and just went. Basically, there was no support, or at least not yet.
And we hit the bear under the bear level in the pre-market. We've since come back above it. So
48.32 again. Your low print there on the S&P futures from the overnight sesh.
Yeah. So. We need to see that hold up. I don't want to, fall into, and stay in bear territory. That wouldn't be great. But there's going to have to be some kind of a bounce coming soon. I mean, we are just so oversold in the market. So
yeah, and I think that I think it's the right strategy here. If we're going to see an oversold bounce, the right strategy here is to not get too gung ho on that. Right? I don't know that we're at a spot to go all in on the port, no matter what. So again, just kind of trying to reiterate the stay calm here in the midst of some crazy volatility. Also here real quick, Lion here saying, I think we're going to have one more big downside day, Ryan. Now, part of me wonders if we get a flush type move here today, which is one of the reasons that I'm not thrilled about just buying the opening print no matter what. If you have a long-term view and there's something that's really on sale that you really feel strongly about, that's one thing. But I'm not there yet, and I'm not trying to take short-term trades here recklessly. I got no problem not nailing the bottom tick, but actually confirming that we're going to see a bounce instead of just a trap or something like that.
It's a trap.
Had to get that one in there.
And we could still go further down, but I feel like currently with how oversold we are, that there would be a bounce coming there. I mean, we've seen it happen so many times. It's just something we can anticipate.
Yeah.
So maybe that happens today. Maybe that happens tomorrow. That's the 2 days I'm looking at, either today or tomorrow. That we see that bounce. But
and one of the things that we talked about in happy hour yesterday, we were coming up with some scenarios of what we could expect to see next week as we approach the end of the week.
Oh yeah.
And again, one of the scenarios was, well, we see a sell-off on Thursday, we see continuation of a sell-off on Friday, and then it would be great if we actually saw a weak futures market Monday morning, because that might set up for a capitulation move down or a flush, and then perhaps a tradable bounce. Not saying that that's going to be the bottom here, but maybe just that tradable oversold bounce. We'll see if we end up getting that there. Okay. I went over some of the Asian markets and how much they fell. And because since I've started here, since I've started here, I haven't really followed up on any of the news. So again, I'm not sure what came out of this interview or if there's any other news that has broken here since we started. All right. I think we should keep looking at some of these bigger names here. We had Amazon, Palantir, and Apple that folks still wanted to see. So maybe I'll just run through that. We're going to start here with Amazon. Here is Amazon oops. Had the drawing tool on there. Sorry about that. Here is Amazon right here at the 500-day. It's actually at 168.01, so it's beneath the 500-day. We're peaking beneath it. Amazon's low in the pre-market, 158.88. We are up 10 points off that low. 10 points off of that low. We'll see if Amazon continues to bounce here. One other thing to keep in mind, if we take a look inside here at that, one thing to keep in mind, if we do roll over here, like if the market doesn't flush out of the open, but really doesn't rage, there's a chance here that we kind of roll over and retest this area that we found support at. Again, 158 there is that actual low print down here, but 160 might be an area there on Amazon. 13, do you have anything here on Amazon, long-term, short-term, or otherwise?
I mean, we could still test some lower levels beneath the 500. It's entirely possible to go down to 150, 140s before we start seeing a turnaround here. Another thing that's concerning to me is that we're getting close to a death cross. And we're going to be seeing a lot of that in some of these Mag 7s and larger indexes. I think we've already got a death cross. We already had a death cross in IWM. We're probably going to have one this week in SPY and possibly I think either the Qs or the Dow. And if we don't get it this week, we're going to get them next week. It's just happening.
It's SPY. SPY right here is very, very.
I'm talking all the indexes. They're all going to death cross.
Well, to your point, 13. Check this out. Our crypto chart for Bitcoin. Look what happened yesterday. The death cross that we've been talking about for a while, that actually happened yesterday. So
get out the 1,000-day SMA. If they do, they even have the capacity for SMAs to go that high? I mean, I know that I've tried it before, and it said. That
it's just math.
Well, I know, but
it's just math. Let's try it. We'll try it right here. 1,000-day SMA.
Yeah, some brokers say that they just wouldn't do that kind of high figure.
So your 1,000-day SMA value here, day trader, 464.05.
Now, if you want to be more accurate, you could say 1,008 because that actually more represents the 4-year period on a daily chart. That's the number of trading days there are on 4 years. So
okay,
I mean, you could use that. It's not. But it's just that you don't see too many interactions with the 1,000-day SMA.
Yeah. Paul here saying, Ryan, look at what Netflix did. Here, let me actually bring up the chart so I can have the visual aid with us here. Paul saying, look what Netflix did in the 2022 bear market. Let me zoom out so we can actually see that. Here's what Paul is talking about, I'm willing to bet. As long as we keep going down in a bear market, so will Netflix go down. So, okay, again, we were just talking and I was sharing a story here about Netflix being recession ready, this and that. Paul's absolutely right. If the market continues to get blasted, I would expect we see a lot of these assets move together. What we're trying to discern here is that if we start to see a turn or if we start to see some relative strength, what companies might be less affected or disproportionately affected less, that's not the right way to say it, less affected by the macro environment that's going on. And I think we built a pretty good case here for Netflix. Not to say that this can't come back in. Anything that we're talking about here can come back in. 13, last I checked, you were not keen on your ability to predict the future with any degree of accuracy. I'm not either. So just something to think about.
But I do have the capacity to remember some things that happened in the past. So when I look at Netflix, I remember that back in 2022, they had a lot more competition. You had Disney Plus.
That's a really
Amazon
good point.
Prime. You had a lot of other companies that were still, there wasn't any certainty around how well they were doing. They were just like kind of new and getting going and getting popular, especially Disney Plus. That was like rolled out during the pandemic.
Yep.
So you had a whole lot of competition. That all shook out between that time when this decline happened and now. So now you have Disney Plus, which has a lot of content problems. You have Amazon Prime, which really they don't have a whole robust lineup of things. But meanwhile, Netflix is doing things like having these exhibition fights with Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. They're trying to get into broadcasting wrestling. They're doing and MMA. They're doing all kinds of different things that these other streamers aren't doing. That's why they're doing so much better compared to the other ones.
Okay. Real good stuff there. Paul, you make a really good point, and I don't mean to whitewash it. Yeah, if the market continues to get beat, a lot of these mega cap names can continue to get beat down. But again, just know why Netflix might be different than some of its peers.
Yep.
Is basically what I was trying to get there. Good stuff there, though. Good stuff. All right. Netflix, we took a look at Amazon. Let me make sure that we did everything here on Amazon. We just talked about some different levels here, 150, maybe even 130 to 140. I think that's what you had in there. 140 to 150 is what you said. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
I'm just kind of throwing levels out that it could possibly be. If you look at the 140 specifically, just draw a line there and look to the left, you can see how that has been resistance and support in the past. But a lot of these levels are. We could. I don't want to say that we're going to go back down to the 2023 lows, but I don't want to say that we can't either, because we haven't finished this downturn in the market yet. We're just getting started.
Yeah. Okay, Palantir was the next one on the list here. Here's a look at Palantir. My thought on this hasn't really changed either. Still kind of waiting out 60, although given what we're looking at in some of these other charts, the steepness of the decline and the broad-based nature of the decline, 60 doesn't even look all that great. I probably would nibble a little for the long term here at 60. Certainly wouldn't go full position here. The other thing here is that we currently have the 200-day 2.5 points beneath that $60 breakout level. So this thing hasn't even pulled back to its 200-day. It really kind of gives you some idea of how ridiculous the run was to the upside. Still think we have some ways to pull back here in Palantir. I'm not against adding long-term at 60, but if you do that, I would be prepared for this thing to move lower, especially if we do have some type of capitulatory move down. And then Crow here mentioning the long and short Palantir ETF. So here's what I would say about this. We've seen Palantir move like crazy. I would almost say that if you're looking for a short-term opportunity here in Palantir, you're probably better off looking at this PTIR, PLTD ETFs here. These are going to be the levered ones to the upside and the downside here. These are both 2X products, if I'm not mistaken. PTIR is PLTD. This is actually levered 1X to the downside. So look for those ETFs if it's a short-term, but again, if you're looking for maybe a long-term add here, I would stick to the actual equity itself. And again, if we do hit 60, and I do get a fill there at 60, just be prepared in case this thing wants to peak lower here. I would not even put 45 out of the question, given where we're at.
Yeah, that 200-day SMA to about 63, 64. I think that we might be where we would see one of the balances, but this looks like to me it's going to be coming in a lot more.
That's what I mean. Just with how far away these are for the moving averages, I feel like there's probably a little bit more room to go in some of these.
Like really come down. Like I'm talking like around 30 or less.
Yeah, that 500-day. I mean, that's where we see the market at.
Yeah.
So. Okay, Apple was the other one that Chatter had asked about here. Now, Apple, the one thing to keep in mind here, we talked a little bit about this. This has a lot of exposure to China. So it does seem that a large chunk, if not the majority of the why behind this, and again, I don't think we can know that. We're just trying to put pieces of a puzzle together. This seems to be a lot about China. And so with that as the backdrop here, it's going to be really important to understand how much exposure Apple has here to China. Looking at this chart here, what a huge fall. We are beneath the 200-day. That was at 200. We're down here at 182.59. I got to think that on this chart here, we have the first thing that I'm noticing here, gap fill down to this 176 area. All right. So that's going to give us another 6 points of downside from where we're at. Going back to June of last year, our volume point of control is at 178. So if we move back down to some of these levels, you might get a potential bounce area there. Headlines are going to be really important here with Apple. What is China doing? How is China responding? Are they picking Apple out? Are they making an example of Apple to try and increase their leverage or use their leverage? That Those are all real things to take a look at here that Apple might be more susceptible to than some other names. You got any levels here on Apple that you're interested in?
Yeah, 174 looks pretty interesting to me. We're going to have, if we lose 180, there's a gap to fill down to just under 174.
Yep.
That zone down there, that sideways consolidation beneath 174, I think we might see a lot better support down in there. And that's going to be between 165 and 174. So that range is, I think, where we might see, if not like, the bottom, at least a short-term bottom.
Okay. Good stuff there. Apple. What else do you folks want to take a look at? I got Hood and Google on here. Yeah.
There's a mover from this morning that's ripping right now.
Here, let's do those because I don't really think we got 25 minutes here. I don't really think we have a whole lot of movers coming. Okay. So let's get those out of the way. Then we can come back and hit some more of these. Hood, Google are good ones. Let me go back to the movers tool here real quick. We'll see what is actually moving. And oh my God, one of our movers actually has a catalyst here. We'll start with this one. I don't know if you prepared for this because it looks like.
Yes. This is the one. Okay. This is the one I was just talking about.
Okay, great. So here's what's going on here. I'll set it up for you. You knock it down like we're out bowling or something like that. Janover, ticker JNVR here. Janover shares are trading higher after the company raised $42 million in convertible notes and warrants. Additionally, a former Kraken team acquired a majority ownership in the company. Okay, so quick look around the horn here real quick. 1.37% of the float shorted with 1.15 days to cover. That's on the average volume of 14,000 shares. Yes, not a typo, 14,000 shares. Today we've traded 5 million, so that days to cover, that short interest negligible. That's not going to be a problem at all. Micro float here, 661,000 and change here. 13, what do you got on ticker JNVR?
You pretty much covered all of it because I started seeing this move just before I came on here, so I didn't have a whole lot to go on. But you pretty much hit all the headlines that's going on with this. 42 million convertible notes and warrants. Former Kraken team member acquired majority ownership stake. That just kind of leaves us with the cash position, which we don't need to worry about since they're doing the notes and warrants. The technicals are really all that's left, and right now this thing is just absolutely ripping right now. It started down at around $5 when I first noticed this moving. Now we're here at $13.15. So we're getting into to where this thing dropped off after it IPO'd. This is like the price that it's at is like the early days of its of trading. So don't have a whole lot of levels there either, but I can give you a few. It looks like one of the earlier ones that we could keep an eye on is going to be $16.50. That's when the price was coming down. It kind of slowed down there before we had a drop off beneath that. So 1650 looks like an interesting level. That's going to be to the upside. And then, of course, we have this high from December of 2023. That's going to be about $15. So that would be the next one there. So 15 and 1650 up from this 13 level that we're at right now will be the next targets I have to the upside.
Okay. Really good stuff there. JNVR, Janover, our biggest mover here of the day and ripping currently as we speak on a headline, plus 236% here in the pre-market. Okay, next one on the list is going to be BJDX. I can't remember. Is this the bad one or the good one?
This is neither.
Okay. So the only reason I ask is because we clearly have a level here from some time in the past. Let me see if I can find it here. Let me go to an hourly chart. Man, that one moving average on those reverse splits really crazy. Okay, I can't recall when the last time that we put this level on, but look, seems to be working here. BJDX. I didn't see any news on this earlier. Still don't have anything here. Last piece of news was from Monday, March 31st. Stock is up 138%. Quick look around the horn here. 1% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover here. That's going to be on an average volume of 74,000 shares. That's pretty much nothing. This also a micro float here, 551,000 shares in the float. What do you got on this?
Yeah, so I think what this is moving on is relative volume. It did have a higher share count on Friday than it normally does. And I believe that may have something to do with their Form 10K that they submitted. I didn't have a chance to go through the entire thing. And try to find out if this is the reason for its move, why it's moving. So I don't know for a fact if that's the reason or not, but I would suspect that given the recent move that it's, and then the recent, most piece of recent news we got was their Form 10. I would think there's something in there, or it might be something else that's coming up that traders are getting ready for, because I took a look at their website and it seems like there's a possible regulatory approval coming for their Symphony IL-6 test device. So that is a device that helps determine patient acuity for sepsis triage monitoring. So that could be one of the reasons this is moving. But like I said, I have no for sure reason why this is going, but I do know for a fact that it had a higher volume on Friday. This could be just a relative volume play. The company does need cash, so keep that in mind as well. We could see an offering coming with this, but as far as why it's moving, I think it has to be RVol or something in that 10K.
Okay. Really good stuff there. By the way, I can't stay right on top of the news while we're going here. I am seeing this. This is a tweet from the Kobesi letter, which we quote often here. This is 10 minutes old. Breaking news. European Commission President von der Leyen, I probably butchered the name and I'm sorry. Von der Leyen says the European Union is ready to negotiate with the US on tariffs. That was 10 minutes ago this morning. We got news over the weekend that they were preparing retaliation. Seems, at least from that quote, that they've changed their tune. S&P futures here holding steady, down 2.72% here at 49.70.
And we got news over the weekend about more than 50. Well, the Trump administration was saying that more than 50 countries are ready to negotiate over tariffs. If that's true, then it seems like this whole tariff situation is working into their plan.
Yeah.
Okay. That's kind of what I'm just seeing here. I don't have a whole grasp on the exact plan here for what the Trump's doing with the tariffs, but from my understanding, it seems like this is exactly what they're wanting. Yeah.
Okay. Good stuff there. Let's keep rolling through some of these movers. Then we can get back to chart time here. Next one that I've got is MESA, 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 whatever you want to call it here. This is Mesa Air GR. Oops, let me clicked on the wrong tab there. We do have some news here this morning. Republic Airways and Mesa Air Group to combine, creating America's regional airline of choice.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay,
so we'll have a new regional airlines.
Yeah, so that's the news there, a new regional airline. That's interesting. 44% of the float shorted with 1.13 days to cover. That is on what? 194,000 shares of volume. That's negligible. We've traded just about 25 million here in the pre-market. Floats just shy of 40 million. What do you think of this one? Ticker MESA.
So this is an all-stock merger. It's going to, it's the hope is that they merge and close that merger in the late third quarter or early fourth quarter this year. And I say that hope because we recently talked about how we could see a lot of mergers and acquisitions. Well, with this whole tariff situation, I think there's a big scare in mergers and acquisitions. We may see less of that, or we also could see some of these Biden policies carry over into the Trump administration. I know that there were some comments about how some of those policies would remain intact. So I don't know if this is going to bode well for Mesa, if they're going to get through that regulatory approval or not, but that's still a ways away. For the purpose of trading this today, I don't think we need to worry about that. The company does have 39 million shares in the float. I did hit a high of 138 this morning. I've had multiple levels for this to the upside. So if this does end up taking off, then I could provide a lot more levels to the upside for you. But I'm a little skeptical of this. If you want to know some more details about how this is going to work out when they merge, Republic shareholders will own 88% of the combined company's shares, and Mesa shareholders will own a minimum of 6% up to 12%, depending on Mesa's achievement of certain pre-closing criteria. So that's really all I've got for this. I'm not sure how well this is going to move. It looks like it's trying to recapture its V up right now, but the volume doesn't look as great as some of these other ones, particularly JNVR. I think that one could be a better mover today.
Yep. Okay. Lion here saying Mesa was great a few years ago, Ryan, but they walk into some serious problems during COVID. I'm not familiar with this regional airline at all, but that wouldn't shock me that COVID really kind of put some pressure on them.
And then airlines are having a hard time now too, so they need help.
Yeah. Indeed. Okay, next one here, NWTG, Newton Golf. Really quickly here, producer, big time shout out to you. 105-foot eagle putt was drained over the weekend in the PGA tournament. Let me see what the note on that was. I didn't know. This is the longest putt on the PGA Tour since 2008. Okay, now, does that have anything to do with Newton Golf? I don't think so here, but we are getting a bit of a pop. It is Masters Week. I don't know. Maybe it's just coincidence here. NWTG here popped as high as 3 and backed off. I don't see anything here as far as news. I got no read here on the short interest, and I have a micro float, probably the smallest float we've ever tracked here, at least that I can remember. 276,000 shares in the float. Do you have anything on this one? NWTG, a level, anything?
I didn't cover this one, but I can see that, the float is very small. I think the smallest one we looked at this morning. They did delay their yearly filing on Tuesday last week, but then it appears that they filed it on Friday. So they got that out of the way. Aside from that, I guess, because I didn't cover this one. So aside from that, I can just go to levels if you like, because I don't know where this is going to head.
Sure.
This doesn't look like a great chart either. It's currently a bit away from the VWAP, but if we do get over it, then I'd be looking at the pre-market high of $2.99, $3. Above that, let's see here, above $2.99. Wow, this thing was gone through a number of reverse splits, it seems. This, I guess, beyond $3. There's not a whole lot I can draw on until we get up into these higher numbers, but we're coming up into a bit of a consolidation going back from entirety of March. It kind of fell into this area between $3 and $6, and this kind of went sideways before falling out of it halfway through March. So I would kind of just be looking at this area that we're in coming up to right now. If we get up to $3, then we could see some resistance. If we push through that, about $6 to $6.50 is about where you get out of that, and then there's a gap fill all the way up to $12. So,
okay, and if we take a look back here to Monday, March 31st, when this thing spiked in the pre-market last, kind of a wild day, but it did actually end up getting some action later. So if this doesn't cooperate with you early on, maybe keep it on the back burner there. No sense in holding something, though. Until you feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, didn't cover this one a whole lot, but it's looking like it's going to have a hard time at the upside. Maybe I'm wrong about that, though.
Real quick here, Wisdom saying, Ryan, have not heard y'all mention Benzinga Edge yet, or did I miss it? No, we haven't mentioned it yet. We, of course, have the banner at the top that is constantly showing you how you can get access to Benzinga Edge. Nothing new to report yet. We are continuing to fill that subscription up with value in there. Can be a real easy way to kind of get access to things like Tim Melvin, Mark Petrino's stock of the day, the insider report, news, portfolio tools, things like that, without you really having to be at the computer all the time. So if you're new, kind of a nice introduction to the Benzinga ecosystem at a very low price point. Look, if you're worried about a recession and you're dialing back your pocketbook as well, Benzinga Edge actually makes a pretty good place to start, Wisdom. I'll let you know what though. I'll actually ask the team and I'll see if I can come up with something that we can share from that here this week. That's a good mention there.
Yeah, STFU, I thought we did. We did trade this in NWTG last week. Yeah, and I don't remember it doing very much of anything last week either. So
it was almost kind of a disappointment. I feel like I feel like the golf stocks kind of play with my emotions like that. Like they'll set up in the morning, then they won't be great traders, and it's like, just stay away from them. Okay, AREB. You folks wanted to take a look at AREB here real quick, but I have to mention SMST because I'll be honest with you, I was super excited to see the one and only Jay Diamond is back. Jay Diamond, I was worried because his MicroStrategy was trading higher here. We didn't see it around. And I was like, well, I hope he's okay. But now here we go. The short ETF popping here this morning on the move back or the pullback here in Bitcoin. Jay Diamond is back. Good morning, SMST. So let me ask you here, are you trimming into this pop here? Because this is a nice pop. This is actually above the Friday high, or at least earlier here in the pre-market. If we back out a little bit more on this chart, it does sure seem like this is coming up off a bottom here. Are you trimming into this, booking some of your gains? Do you have an upside level that you're looking at? I suppose I'm assuming you're already in it, but is there a level to the downside that you would look to add that? Fill some more in here. We are popping up 19%. See what happens with strategy here today. Okay, Arab was the other one. Shamir was asking about this. This was a smoked tuna delight from last week. Let me get to the 15-minute chart here. On Friday, I think this was, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this was the best smaller stock for trading wise on Friday here. You can see this thing moved all the way up to 20. We did pull back here in the after hours, but we're curling back up here in the pre-market. Sure looks to me like this $18, $17.50 to 18 area is going to provide some more resistance. We'll see if we get up to 20. There's no way, even if I had this later in the day on Friday, there's no way I would have held the stock over the weekend. So I don't feel like I'm missing anything here, but tuna, we'll see if we set up here for another trade. I'll tell you what, the more I look at this, the more I think this 1750 level is going to hold a key for a pop higher.
The 50-day SMA was closed over on Friday, and it looks like it's trying to hold above that, or at least at the very least try to recapture it if it's trading underneath it. I have a print of 1660 as the 50-day SMA in the pre-market right now. We're at 1653. So I think it's just trying to hold over that 50-day SMA today. So I'd be watching what happens around that level.
Okay. Okay, that pretty much does it for the small stocks here on the movers tool. The rest of these are ETFs. Yeah, did you have something?
STFU also was pointing out ICCT. I was noticing that's moving as well. It just had a pop up to VWAP. It did hit 766 in the pre-market, which is about where it was on Friday, making that high. So we had talked about how this could go into 7, and it did. And then ever since then, it came right back in. Just tested 766 again in the pre-market. It might be setting up to go higher, but we talked about 7 being kind of the level we were looking for here. So anything higher than this is going to be risky. Just to make sure you'll understand that. So if you are going to trade this, just make sure you understand what you're trading. But I think you are getting into a bit of a risky area of trying to trade higher than 7.
Okay. Okay, good stuff there. ICCT. What else do you want to do next here?
We can keep going through some of these tickers that folks want to look at.
Yeah, so what else do we have here real quick? Let's see. Did you guys throw it? Did I miss any? Oh, you know what? Did we go over Google? I think Pete had suggested Google. I talked about it. I don't think we hit that one yet. Here is Google. Google breaking beneath the 500. 13, let me leave this up here for a sec. I'm going to be right back, okay?
All right. So this one, Death Crossing today. That is what's happening with this one. So I wouldn't be surprised if this goes down to 140. Now we have a gap, not this one that's being created from the between Friday and today, but we are basically gapping down again at the same area that we did back in March of last year. There was a gap that was created on March 15th to 16th. March 15th to 18th. That was a weekend gap. So there's one thing that we have to fill the upside. But if we continue lower, which seems less likely to me, still possible we trend a little bit lower before we reverse. But it seems like 140 is the next big area of support if we continue lower from this 142.75 area. STFU saying BJDX, the momentum candle. We'll take a look at that in a second. As far as I don't have anything else for Google. It's going through some levels that I already had limit orders at, which is fine. It's just providing more of a discount. But this will come back like a lot of these will. Don't have a whole lot of other levels I could give you. I mean, there's things I could point out further to the downside, but I don't think we're going to be heading there. I mean, 130 131 looks like a possible bottoming area, as does 120. But I feel like we need a bounce first, and then following that bounce, we can start exploring some of those crazier lower levels.
Okay, sorry about that. Back.
No problem.
What was the next down? Just help me. What was the next downside level you had here on Google?
I was looking at 140. That seems like a pretty decent spot. We are death crossing today, so it wouldn't surprise me if we do end up going lower following a bounce. But a bounce is I think is coming at some point very soon.
Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. What else do we want to take a look at here? Good morning, Shelly. Great to see you again.
Have you looked at all the Mag 7s?
No, we took a look. You know what? Which one we have not taken a look at here is Meta.
Okay.
So Meta here, I still think that this probably is going to go test that 447 level. That's right down where the 500 is. And then also, didn't we have? Yeah, so we are. Yeah, then that lines up. That's right. This is how it was last week. That also lines up pretty well with the yen carry trade low on Meta. That 555, 554, 555 area.
Okay. Yeah, that and that 500-day SMA also kind of prevents. Well, I don't want to say prevent, but it's going to kind of come up to rescue the price from falling into a gap fill to the downside.
Still think that gap could fill though if we peak below.
Oh, sure. That would take us down.
That gap fills down there at what, like 401?
Yeah,
I'm just eyeballing it there, so it looks like about 401.
Yeah, but when you have when you look at these Mag 7s and you see that their RSIs are like in the 20s, you just have to think that a short-term reversal is coming at the very least. These are just so oversold.
Okay. Dugan, great to see you this morning. Hope all is well in your neck of the woods. Here is Tesla. Let me actually hide the Fibonacci drawing here so we can see we're really coming down to this level here that we bottomed. What day was this? March 11th. At bottom down here, 217. I think we were also calling for 200 as a support level the day that we got down here. Tesla's high here, 235 in the pre-market, low 208. Pretty huge range here for Tesla today. This actually might make for some pretty good trading, providing we can hold these lows. 220 seems to be the next level here that we're pretty much right at. We'll see if we end up breaching that on any type of flush, but below right here.
I have a bunch of levels marked off here, but at one point I was looking at a bullish upside if we broke out of this range between 226 and 232. This was a while ago, and then I was also bearish if we broke out of a range between or broke down out of a range between 194 and 200. I still have those levels up here, and those levels I'm going to be looking at as well. But before that, if we continue to the downside, interested in to see what happens around 1212. Last time that we came down between those two ranges was back in October of last year, and we found some support down around that area. So here we are visiting this area again. I'd be curious to see what happens around 1212.
Okay, good stuff there on Tesla. Dugan, let me know if you're trading this here, short-term, long-term, what kind of levels you're looking at. That's Tesla. Hood was another one that I promised. I don't think we looked at this yet. I talked about it a number of times. This here actually tested the 200-day on Friday. Now, but here today when we open, we're still going to be beneath that 200-day. I do think that this $28 level here on Hood, this also really kind of set up for an oversold bounce. You got any levels here on Hood 13 that you're looking at?
Yeah. If we recapture the 200-day SMA, I would think that somewhere around 35 to 36 might be a resistance area that reverses the price and takes it back under the 200-day SMA and lower. So that's we have the 200-day SMA as resistance already.
Yep.
But we just lost it, and it wouldn't be surprising if we quickly recaptured it. But if we do get back up to that area between 35 and 36, I think you're going to see more resistance around there.
Okay. It is worth noting that we've actually had 0 closes beneath this 200 days. So if we hold lower here today would represent the first one. We'll see if we end up getting that. On Hood. Oh, okay. Jay here mentioning Boeing. And this is a good one. We talk about Boeing quite a bit here. Boeing 133.50 here. We have a clean break beneath the trend line that's been on here since what? This is the bottom of the COVID low. Yikes. So we've really kind of broken that low here. Next spot for me on Boeing here, probably 113-ish, maybe 115, 120. Let's call it 113 to 120 there. That's actually a pretty decent support level. See if we crack this here. Jay, my initial question to you here, it's putting in a new multi-year low. Is this something that is appealing? Where's the buy spot for you here on Boeing? 13, while we're waiting for that, anything you got here on Boeing?
It's breaking down beneath some trend lines that I was pretty sure were going to be strong at support, and they have been previously. But since this tariff situation, it's kind of gone. I mean, especially on Friday, it kind of knifed through two of them. I personally would like to see this get recaptured. I'd like to see 137 get recaptured. We're not too far away from there, but at least $5. So that's going to be one of the things I need to see here. If we continue lower, I have, let's see, where do I have levels? I've got a potential area of about 120, like 120 to 121 could be support area. There's other support at about 114. And this is only if we continued lower. So those would be a couple of downsides I can provide right now. But with the RSI being at 25, this under 26, I feel like there's also going to be a bounce in this coming too. Like we could see a flush out the gate here when we open.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sorry for interrupting here because there's 5 seconds left. Yeah. We are rolling here from the area that we were consolidating in the pre-market. SPY 488, looking like we might flush out of the open here. Yep. I'm going to go ahead and put that ticker up. We're open, folks.
Here we go.
Good luck to everybody today. Again, the only advice that I can give right here out of the open, don't panic. Make sure you have a reason for doing what you're doing. Jay, answering the question here, not really on Boeing. They have lost money 12 straight quarters, and Asia may very well shift orders to Airbus. So, Jay, you don't think Boeing is a buy down here at any of these? Okay. Mike here. I totally support this, Mike, and I'm glad that there are others looking at the same thing here. Fam, give it a few minutes before any new trades. I am 110% with Mike on this one. We're going to wait out this open. No problem with sitting on your hands here unless you really have a good idea of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, looks like JNBR is trying to keep going here. That one's been strong all pretty much since the news broke. When it comes to Boeing, they do have a lot of backlog, so the orders aren't in trouble. But that whole and defense spending is basically what's keeping this thing afloat. It's really this too big to kind of fail kind of thing, especially when they're too important to fail. ICCT, by the way, over 8 now. They lose billions every quarter. So we have a new CEO. Still need to turn things around. There's a lot to be desired right now with Boeing.
NVIDIA breaking lower here. Sweet one saying my brokerage is malfunctioning this morning. Positive on the day, so not too worried. But LOL, positive on the day is something here with this gap down. I am not positive on the day. Just FYI. And that was the other thing, folks. Be very careful about FinTwit in times like this. When you're looking at a lot of red arrows across the market and across your portfolio, and then you look over at FinTwit and it's just a bunch of people winning, try not to take too much from that. I would imagine a lot of those people are not talking about some of the stocks that they have that are losing. The best traders that I know are hurting, even if they're making trades regularly. So if you're seeing red arrows across your portfolio, you are not alone. Don't buy into the hype that everyone on Twitter is winning and you're not. That is not the case.
Nice job, Crow, on ICCT. Mesa just looks super tired. More selling volume than buying volume. So probably not ready. If this is going to make any moves, probably not ready right now, but keep an eye on it if you like.
ICCT, big pullback from that initial impulse move. JNVR, same deal. That's actually halted to the downside now at 14.12.
BJDX is about to halt to the upside after testing this 65 EMA on the 5-minute. That turned around through VWAP and is trying to push up to 9. Okay. It just halted. And this is, when it comes to, here we go with Newton Golf. This thing's ripping now. It's coming up to 3. So all of it being halted, or a lot of them being halted, kind of puts the attention on some of the other ones now. So here's NWTG.
Bitcoin holding here 77K. So it could not get back to that 78K level, holding here at 77K. VIX did curl from its pre-market level of 47, currently sitting at 50.83 right now on the VIX.
Yeah, that moved to 820 and then a knife. That's not great looking with ICCT. But as we were saying before we opened here, we were looking at 7 as being the target. Anything higher than that, very risky. We could see it even go higher than 820 after it unhalts, but still, it's the risk above 7 is just so elevated. So understand what you're trading. Mesa now catching a bid here, moving up over VWAP.
Go Steve D, reminding all of us that Dollar General is green here. I gotta say, man, I'm not in this anymore. We made a bunch of money on this one, but this was one of the better calls here from the group. Both groups at this point. Dollar General here holding on to some green arrows here today.
It looks like NWTG trying to break over 3 here, running into resistance. Just needs a big old whale to come in here and take out this this wall at 3. Not going to get that at the moment.
Thank you, producer. Citigroup upgrades Dollar General to neutral here, raises the price target to 101. By the way, Crow Long NMAX here. This did pop out of that pre-market open NMAX. THSN, this was a penny stock that was ripping earlier here in the pre-market. This has really kind of come back in. Newton Golf that you had talked about, that's going for that 3 spot there. Mesa just took its VWAP out. Seeing AppLovin calls get bought here. AppLovin is up off of the low. SMCI up off of the low. Tesla trying to bounce off of the low. Google near the lows. Marvell, this is another one that folks are trying for a rebound here. That's up a little bit from the open.
Looks like NWTG trying to take 3 here. Trying again.
So what will be interesting to see here is if any of that bounce action that we got in the pre-market is strong enough to hold. Right now, SPY looking like it is going to try and roll over and retest some of those levels. Again, let me see. Let me get that level for you here. Oops, come on, chart. That low, that pre-market low here, 479.47.
All right, looks like it's trying for 3 again. NWTG. Keeps hammering that, but it's not able to break through yet. But if it does, it might just run to, here we go, might run to 320.
I was watching Mesa.
Yeah, Mesa, that went up to almost 125, coming back in beneath VWAP right now. It's just kind of going sideways a bit here. Looks like breaking out of the consolidation it's in, that means a breakout of 125 or a breakdown of 105. And NWTG up to 318. There's 320. That level got hit. If it takes 320 out, maybe it have to work its way up through 330. There's a lot of sellers between here and 330.
Uber looks like this might be rolling over to test those. What is that? $61 lows. We'll see if we get that. Boeing here, seeing some calls bought out of the open here, but Boeing still resolved lower. Also seeing up NMAX. So NMAX has options now. That's the first NMAX I've seen. Options are actually fairly, this is the first day that I've noticed it here. So the April contract actually did have some open interest going into today. Not a whole lot of volume, but some action there in Newsmax. Let me see if there's any in the further strikes. No, it looks like folks are just trading this for the short term on NMAX.
We should be seeing some unhalts soon in JNVR, BJDX, and ICCT.
Okay.
NWTG now up to 325. Looking like the market is panic selling right now. Well, I mean, it's selling, but I don't know about panic selling. I would think it would be a lot larger than this.
To the point about panic selling, this whole move down, it's been fast and it's been nasty, but it has really felt orderly. Can you think back to any one of these days where it really felt like people were just hitting the sell everything I have button?
No, this doesn't look like what happened during the pandemic.
Nope.
BJDX open now, trying to push higher in the 9 handle now.
939 is that spot that we had marked off from before. It looks like it's going for that right here. I've got JNVR pulled up here in my broker. I'll let you know when that opens and what the level 2 looks like.
Yeah, that should be halting soon. Same with ICCT. I think ICCT is the last to halt. NWTG pulled after JNVR unhalted, so I think that kind of gives you an idea of where traders are looking. They'd rather trade JNVR than NWTG, it looks like. BJDX I'm sorry, not JNVR, BJDX unhalted. So that's getting the attention right now, working its way through consolidation from earlier this morning, around 7 to 8.
Yeah, this is another thing here. Wisdom here saying this is the second report that we've got. I can't remember what brokerage suite one has, and I don't want to misquote it. But my brokerage platform here is acting wonky today. Careful, folks, don't get locked into a wild move. Even more of a reason to listen to Mike's words of wisdom here about maybe waiting out the beginning until things settle.
You know, the SQQQ has 2x'd since the top.
Yeah, and you know who was trading that one?
All of us, right?
Matt Money Maley.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the dude, it was booking gains massive. I mean, like multiple 1,000% here. We
may never hear from him again.
I sure hope we do. I'm looking for his wisdom here today. Don't jinx us, my man.
I'm just messing around.
I was going to say, man, 13.
When you have a big move like that.
I am trying to talk about not panicking, and 13 is giving me panic-inducing statements here.
No. If we hear from him again, he won't be in his room. He'll be in an island. His island. I mean. I would imagine that the Maley Island is a good place and a good time. Probably some pretty good golfing.
I don't know if he's a golfer, but I'm not gonna dispute that.
BJDX is trying to push him to 10.
Jay, really quickly, I won't spend too much time on it. We did break that 939 level though on BJDX. Jay, are you excited for the Masters? Who do you have winning it? Who do you like? And Wiss, if you're out there, same question. Yeah, producer was sharing this tip with me over the weekend. He said, Ryan, what you want to do here, save the phone number that your brokerage calls you from under margin call and then just never answer it. That was the recommendation.
Look at BJDX. It hit 10 and then it just absolutely broadsorted. And now we're going into a halt.
Reports here that Toss, Fairchild reporting Toss is wonky this morning. Well, I have not tried to place any orders in Toss yet. I'll keep you posted when I do.
Yes, Sydney, ICCT is halted. They had a nice big move up out of the gate here up to 820. And then after it hit that, it quickly moved down beneath the VWAP and halted. So we are waiting for that to unhalt. It should unhalt soon. Same thing with JNVR.
Yeah, one more thing. Mo here mentioning this. I'm so glad I'm waiting these moves out. BJDX did the same pull as NWTG. The huge knife here. NWTG, same thing. Again, it's okay to be careful. If things don't make sense or you don't feel great about it, don't make your problems worse. SPY moving to the lows here. 484.39, your low print. Tiger is saying his DAS trader is malfunctioning. Tiger, it looks like we have two other reports of other brokers that are also malfunctioning.
NWTG.
Here. So
sorry to interrupt you, but NWTG is looks like it's trying to hold VWAP and push higher back over 3. Keep an eye on that one.
Okay. Mesa was the other low-priced mover that we had here today. That is pulling. That might set up for a bounce, but I wouldn't trust that here. Dugan mentioning that Tesla is testing new lows here. So this is one of the first levels that we wanted to take a look at here. Mm-hmm. Tesla looked like it's trying to take that and maybe even break it.
Here we go with the SPY down to the 2022 highs, almost there.
Almost there. You know what else we're almost at? That 480 Andy pullback level. Yeah, that's open here. Let me go to it.
JNVR. Yeah, that is open. Yeah, that 480. That's the 2022 high.
JNVR.
Mm-hmm. JNVR.
Yeah. I don't know why. Maybe I typed the wrong letter in. Here you go. So JNVR pulled here and is halted, or it's going to halt right here.
There we go. Now it's
halted to the upside. So halted out of the downside halt. ICCT. It pulled and bounced and halted to the upside. Let me go to ICCT.
This one getting hammered, going down to the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. That's value is going to be 596. We could see a bounce there, or it could just knife through. I don't know. SPY really now the panic selling in SPY is seemingly happening.
Okay, let me go to that here real quick. Wiss says the best week of the year. Wiss, man, the March Madness week. Really? Anyway, I got to go with my guy Spieth. So we got one vote for Spieth here. Jay Rice is ready for the Masters. He's picking Bryson. Okay, I like it. All right, let me go over to the SPY here as we'll watch that pull and we'll wait for a break of that low level. Looks like we did do it, didn't we?
No, we haven't hit that forward yet.
Yeah, I was going to say the low print that I have here in the pre-market's not shown here on this chart because it's from the over-hour session, 497.47. So just a couple of points away from that now.
Yeah.
Shelly, one thing for you to note. I discovered over the weekend that there's no tariff on cat cuteness, and the cuteness market never crashes. So you're in good shape if you're hanging with the cat gods out there. NWTG looks like we're trying to rip to some new highs here. So after that nasty pull that shook out some of the weaker hands, higher we go. That first candle that we really need to break here, the high is going to be 327. That's your next spot.
Yep. This is what we were looking for when I was saying it was recapturing VWAP. Just be careful here because just like the last 5-minute candle before, we could see a nasty pull. That's kind of been the story with a lot of these this morning so far. They've been having these huge runs and they just pull really ugly. So be careful with these. Have your stops ready, maybe even raise them if the stock starts to run.
Okay. With our wisdom here, Ryan, my broker is Interactive Brokers. Looks like you're still seeing problems with that. That's good information here. SPY trying to hold on to 483 as we speak. VIX still creeping higher here. 54 print now in the VIX. Reshaped
Life Sciences, when we were trading
RSLS.
Yeah, that's up 23% right now. Has several good-looking candles. If you're into penny stocks, this one might tickle your fancy here. This is really moving up right now. ICCT, this continues to go lower, even though it does appear like it's searching out some kind of support. But like I said, I'll say it again. We were looking at $7 as being the kind of target for this one. The fact we got a little bit more is great, but we just need to understand our risk with this one. We could see this continue to go lower.
Hans saying his Interactive Brokers is working fine. Producer has noticed that there are more people on X reporting Interactive Brokers having some issues. Master of Darkness looking for more liberation from his own wallet. See if we end up getting that here.
All that pesky money.
By the way, I did end up getting a response here from Matt. Looks like we are going to have Matt here today, but it's going to be a little bit later than we traditionally do because of some of his commitments. But we should still be good. We should still be good. So no panic. Mesa back down here to $1. Actually looks like it might lose that here.
Yeah, I think I'd want to be patient with some of these movers now after we've had the wild price action. Looking like NWTG, we hit a new high of 330, but still kind of printing these upper shadows that make me a little nervous about further upside here. It is fortunately above VWAP, and it does look like it could try and push higher, but the volume is starting to wane a bit here. So just keep your expectations a bit tempered. If we get more, great. Raise your stops, obviously, but just be careful with this one. It looks like it could still pull at the same time. BJDX, that one's trying to find some support. It's a 65 EMA on the 5-minute. Mesa didn't quite get to its 65 EMA, and it's trying to turn around, but volume not looking as great as it was before. And then ICCT, that one's also trying to rebound as well. So we're getting a little bit of a rebound in some of these mover names, but until they start recapturing some higher levels like VWAP, for instance, still think there could be some further downside. And there we go with NWTG, just knifed again.
QBTS, Smoke Tuna's mentioning this actually looks like it might be bouncing. The SPY might be putting in its first bounce candle here. SPY so far trying to hold this low here, that 483 low. We're 4 points higher than that low so far.
NWTG is shaking out folks. Just shook out folks that were had their stops at about VWAP, and now it's trying to push higher. Reshape 60 cents now. That was what did the VIX get up to? Did it get up over 50 yet?
Yeah, so the VIX's high print here this morning, 13, was 60.13. Since that time, that was at the open here that I have. Since that time, it has melted. It was holding just beneath 50 for a majority of the morning, but we've since crossed above 50 here, currently sitting at 51.60.
Okay, that's interesting. Let me take a look at this chart. Because when we had the yen carry trade, we went up to what is this, 65.73, and I don't think we're quite at that. I don't think we're going to go. We could, but I don't think we are going to go that high. At least not right now. We could really come back in on the VIX. I wonder how many people are shorting this right now.
EU's trade chief, Sefcovic, we have offered the U.S. 0-for-0 tariffs for cars and all industrial goods in response to the steel and aluminum tariffs. After carefully reviewing the options, we will send the final list and tariff levels to members of the states today.
Excellent. Thank you for the mention, Blazed Rhino. This JNVR, it unhalted, popped up over 15, and then halted again. Very little time to move before it halted again. BJDX continuing lower, halted to the downside now, it seems. Mesa trying to get back up to VWAP. Very low volume. I don't know if it'll get back above it.
Amazon is bouncing pretty good here. We've actually bounced 7 points so far here in Amazon. This thing, if this can get above this 169 area, maybe we have more of a bounce here on Amazon. Market is still holding in here, 488, that high. Just looking around here real quick. Looks like things so far, they're bouncing here. Netflix is bouncing. Bitcoin is bouncing. 77,000 now, just crossed to the upside. Seeing if there's anything else that's coming out here on the news flow that I'm trying to watch.
Just looking around, seeing what's looking good. Looks like MLGO is back, trying to take out the pre-market high of 1990. On Friday, it got as high as 2290.
So
same thing as last week. Understand what you're trading here. This thing can make or break.
Amazon bouncing pretty good here.
Looks like Reshape wants to take out 60. Keeps hammering that level, 60 cents.
Still seeing more Amazon calls here, spread between the 175 and the 195. Looks like traders are playing this one here for a bounce. We'll see how long that one lasts. Check the advancers to decliners here. Advancers to decliners are up off the lows, minus 2,400.
Yeah, right, Crow, it does refuse to die. RL looking at VZ and UPS. Verizon getting some support from its 200 EMA. At least it was. Where is this thing at? Is this at 41 or 42? Okay. I was getting a little bit of weird price action there for a moment, but okay. So Verizon getting support from its 65. I'm sorry, it's a 200 SMA. It's 200 SMA coming up to its 50. Did have a recent golden cross in this, but that's following a death cross that just happened in January. So when we have that oscillation, tend to lean less heavily onto those crossings.
OKLO is ripping here.
Oh, nice. If Verizon continues lower, or if it loses the 200 EMA, then you have looks like $40 could be a level, but I'd be looking at that 500-day SMA as well.
Rigetti here bouncing. We took a look at QBTS earlier. Tuna, looks like you were looking at that one, or was it QUBT? I can't remember. One of those. Looks like some of these recent momentum names trying to bounce a little bit here. That doesn't look great.
We are getting some more downside in ICCT. That now testing its 200 EMA on the 5-minute.
Palantir is bouncing here. Tesla looks like that's bouncing here. How are we doing on some of these ETFs like the T's, TQQQ? Okay, that's bouncing here.
The AMC has some movement.
200% implied volatility in the April contract for some of these ETFs.
AT&T new high of day. That after getting hammered on Friday and opening lower this morning.
Netflix new high of day.
For AT&T, I think I'd be wanting to see a recapture of that 50-day SMA. We're not too far away from it. That value is 26.26. We're going to want to see that close over that. What could happen right now is that we might print over it and fill this gap up to Friday's close or low, either one, and then we could end up reversing off of that.
JNVR here. This is now popped into another upside halt. JNVR.
And that's the third green upside halt. I think I'd be a little careful with the next time it unhalts.
Seventh. This is the seventh total halt today. JNVR.
The seventh halt? Really?
But that's what I have here on the counter. Oh, you know what?
That's strange because this
you know
thing
what?
hasn't been open.
No, you know what it's doing is it's counting the resume in that. So yes, this is the fourth halt then.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
There it is.
There's a downside.
That's all. Okay.
Yeah, there was a downside halt, and we've had 3 upside halts now. And I think if we're going to lean on patterns, the next time it opens, we could end up seeing this maybe pop briefly and then knife. I think I'd be careful out of this next halt with JNVR. Maybe it does rip, maybe it doesn't. I don't know that I'd want to be in this out of the third halt here to the upside. Looks like BJDX trying to turn around that after some downside halting. Looks like we're back into upside halts as well with that one. ICCT getting some support from its 200 EMA. Volume's gone away from this one. MLGO hit a high of 1975 before that came in. The pre-market high was 1990.
Ryan's asking, how's the market volume here? 40.7 million shares traded here on the SPY already. That's what I have. I wonder if that's off.
How much?
Nope. That is
40?
exactly 40 million. That is exactly matching my.
That's more than we've been getting like most days this year.
My volume number here in Pro matches exactly what my broker is saying for volume.
That's a lot of shares.
Yes, it is. Market here continuing to bounce. SPY now 494. SPY is up 10 points off of the low here.
Oh, buddy.
Here's NVIDIA. NVIDIA's ripping here as well. NVIDIA also 5 points off the low print here. Pete mentioning Dell, which has been a huge mover recently. $3 move in the past 15 minutes. Looks like we're approaching a $4 move there now in Dell, as that is continuing to move higher here. We mentioned some of the other momentum names that have recently been moving. OKLO, some of those quantum names, Rigetti, QBTS, QUBT, those popping here. NBIS, that's been another AI name here. Lots of big green candles here.
This is crazy.
I'd be wary about chasing the bounce move. I would say if you do chase the bounce move here, like if you were positioned for this bounce move, giddy up, you're probably at the point where you're at least trimming into this move higher. But as far as chasing the bounce move, if you're going to do that, make sure you have a plan so you don't get trapped in that. The last thing that you want is a trap here today. He's continuing to bounce here, looking pretty good. Boy, MBIS, we almost got back to our 1750 initial entry.
You know, we did talk about some other tech names in happy hour, like Marvell and Western Digital. Look at Western Digital. This thing went like, gosh, how low did this go? This thing went all the way down to what, under 20 RSI, just barely, or it was near 20 RSI. Crazy low.
Amazon red-green move here. Good shout, Pete.
Dead cat bounce as quantum vortex. This bounce might happen over the course of a number of days, a small number of days before it goes lower. We are anticipating that we could see some more downside, but
no question.
But we do think that with the oversold condition of this market, it's going to provide a short-term bounce.
Buffalo by Bicycle, I like this. No chasing here. If you've been buying, wait and see. Got no problem with you trimming. I think if you're going to chase a move like this, you better be careful.
Yep. Don't be chasing anything today.
Netflix also red to green, by the way. Sorry, 13.
Especially with all these, price action we've been getting with these movers. They just kind of rip up and then they knife. You just don't want to be in any of those when they do that. It's a good day to be careful.
Indeed. It's also a good time to remind you we're 29 minutes into the session here. So, maybe there's going to be another stall and pull, and then you actually get a rally too.
I'm getting summoned for stupid levels in JNVR. JJ's
you know what that means.
That means I got to go to the daily.
Dugan here. Tesla chasing the pre-market high now after hitting the pre-market low. That was one of the things that we had mentioned in the pre-market here. Tesla had a very impressive range early, had wild swings here in the pre-market. Here's what Dugan is talking about. We came right back in, tested the bottom end of that range down there about 215. Actually, we printed below 215, if I recall. I believe that we did here. Yep, I've got prints in the 214 handle. That pre-market low there, 208.56. We're higher than that, but we're coming up to the pre-market high here at 235 on Tesla, only 2 points away.
So when it comes to JNVR for stupid levels, I really don't have a whole lot to draw on because we're in that 1 month after when it IPO'd where we just had this huge drop from 44.
Here, 13. I'm going to put your chart up here. I apologize. The amount of coffee that I've had today is biblical, so I'll be right back.
Okay. That July of 2023, that whole month, we're in that price right now, that price range. Let's see here. The high of that was $44, and then we closed at $16.80. We're above that right now. So we're in the stupid levels as far as I'm concerned, but let me see if I can give you some more accurate levels here. 19 might be another one because I'm looking at the weekly now, and the weekly is showing me that in the first week of that trading, we had when this IPO'd, we got a close or a low of 1720, and we're above that now. And then the following week, we hit a high of 19. Well, it was actually 1888, but I think 19 is going to be the level we want to watch for. So let's just look at that, and then after that, every level beyond 19 is going to be a stupid level. How about that? TEM finally got something in the 30s. Let's see here. Tempest AI. Wow, look at this thing. This is a trader's dream, isn't it?
That's having a nice bounce here today too.
I mean, if you just kind of look at the daily chart, this thing will rip up into the 70s or 80s, and then it comes back down into half of that.
Yeah, we had a trend line down here that had supported about 41 and a half.
Yep. So excuse me. That could be the next. I mean, if it continues to go lower from here, that could be the next area we would want to be focused on for it to push higher.
Read the wrong number. There was 34 and a half. UPS here, getting asked about if UPS could make a pretty decent dip buy here. This is sub 100 on UPS. It's down 3% here today.
I think this thing has just been hammered to hell. It's so oversold. I thought it was a good buy, before it dropped under 100. I think that this is, providing a great opportunity for the long term. Now, as far as a short term trade, that's not something that I'd be looking for with this. I don't know what time frame that short term would mean to some people. If we're looking for a bounce today, possibly maybe even get a gap fill. I'm looking at longer term with this, especially because the dividend yield is just so damn high now. I think I don't want to say that we might be over 7, but it's very possible we're over a 7% yield at this price.
Also here, 90 looks to be the next support here on UPS if it comes back in.
Yeah. Depending on your time horizon, UPS is either going to be a good trade or a great long-term investment.
Pete here, more wisdom for the group here. Pete saying bounce just looks like short sellers are locking in profit as we are sinking here again. The futures did pull off that high print. The one thing to note, JNVR open higher 2075 and it's going to rehalt here. JNVR 2075 if it holds here. Sorry for interrupting.
Oh, it's still moving. But hey, welcome to the stupid levels.
Nope. And actually that pulled off the spot here and came back in. Okay, I'll get back to JNVR here in a sec. I wanted to finish up with Pete's comment here. Bounce looks like the short sellers are locking in profit, sinking again. CNBC actually had Leon Cooperman on earlier, and one of the things that he said is that you might see any of these short-term rallies get sold into. So, Pete, this is definitely something to take a look at or to watch here today to see if it shakes out. Paul, I could tell you were never a trucker. Fact check true. Just get a wide mouth bottle. Oh man, Paul. We live in a civilized society here, my friend.
NWTG trying to break 330. This is going to be a make or break level here. Now it's starting to pull. It just looks like it's trading up into an ascending triangle. So as long as it holds VWAP, there's a chance we have at breaking 330 here.
Yes, Matt Malley. So here, so just passing through is saying Matt Malley is on Bloomberg. Indeed, that's why he's actually going to be late here today. I got to do a Bloomberg TV spot at 10, but I think he's going to be able to join us after.
Nice. Well,
Martin says, what did I miss? That's a good one, Martin. That's a good one. Missed a move down and a little bit of a bounce so far. We're all waiting to see if it holds here.
So BJDX is recapturing its VWAP. You can even draw a trend line with BJ.
I got it
from the pre-market high to the session high. That's the trend line we're going to need to break here, and we're not too far away from it.
And that 939 level is also going to come into play there.
Mm-hmm. All right, so there's an NWTG down near VWAP. I don't know about NWTG. It looks like it's trending up into an ascending triangle, but I just don't like the volume.
I'll tell you what, I almost feel like on days like today, first of all, Dow breadth has gone green. So for staring at a ton of red arrows here today, Dow is the first one where the breadth has gone green. We'll see if that holds here. Rest of it still healthily in the red. I guess NASDAQ would be the next to maybe go green if that continues. You know, the one thing that I will say about some of these smaller moves or these smaller names, I feel, maybe I'm wrong about this, maybe this is just my own experience, but I feel like they're a little bit more unpredictable on days where you have a repricing of a large swath of assets here. That is to say, I think folks are probably focusing on some of the larger issues here. You might get some more erratic movements in some of these smaller ones.
Seeing a lot of these space plays doing pretty well. Oh, and MLGO's over 21. Look at that MLGO go.
Wow. Good stuff there, Big Bees. Scalping here. Sounds like you sure paid attention to being tactical and being deliberate here. Good stuff. Which one? NWTG?
No, MLGO.
Oh, MLGO. I'm sorry. Oh, the one that just won't die, huh?
Nope. Somebody just killed this thing already. It's refusing. It went over 21. It's still over 21. Got as high as 2168. 2290 was Friday's high.
Pete, not to hijack your comment here, but I'm going to hijack your comment here. Only down 0.28% so far in the portfolio, was down almost 4% earlier. This right here, an example of why we don't panic when we see things here. I'm not saying that you did. I'm just using it as an example. This is why you don't panic here. Sometimes when you get these moves, you get an immediate bounce back on that. So again, just kind of, I'm going to be on that train for a long time here. Don't panic.
Oh man, just a fun. I mean, I haven't traded a whole lot today. I've only got 2 scalps, but just a fun day watching things do what we've been anticipating.
My big concern here with that, that just kind of leads into the maybe less is more trading here. The head fake that y'all folks are talking about here. The last thing I'd want is for us to have a rip, look like we're going to be bouncing, and then all of a sudden the market says, you know what? I kind of want to retest that 480 here. All of your long side trades are going to get blasted. I think I'd just kind of rather wait through this. And again, I'm not necessarily worried about bottom ticking. If I need to nibble on something and hold it over till tomorrow and reassess, then I'll do that. But like Pete here, my portfolio which opened deep red here, really paring things back, almost back to even.
I gotta look at something real quick here.
By the way, VIX off that initial pop that we saw, that continues to move back down here, 48.47, right back to the pre-market area there on VIX. And Max is still popping.
There is increasingly, I mean, I think this was obvious that we were looking at for potential cuts in May off of this news, but seeing some big increases in bets for a rate cut in May and for an emergency cut.
Yeah, I'm not. I can see rate cuts coming quicker because of all of this. An emergency cut, I feel like Powell hasn't been hinting at that, right? He's been trying to say for a long time that they're going to wait this out. They're not going to make any quick movements on that. So I don't know about an emergency meeting, but I can see rate cuts happening sooner rather than later. Bitcoin new highs now on the day, 79K as we cross and move through higher. TQQQ, same deal. PanW at the highs, Embis, Apple, Netflix, Amazon, Costco, all at the highs.
Look at TQQQ. All you had to do was buy the low from the pre-market open, because that's where we ended up going. And
5-point move there.
And yeah, $35 was the buy zone. Wow, look at this move.
SPY continuing to bounce here as we reclaim 500. Higher we go here on SPY.
Oh, man. Make me happy, TQQQ.
Yeah, we didn't get any other news here that I missed, did we? Let's see.
Wow. Well, I'm taking gains in TQQQ. It's not stopping.
NASDAQ just turned green. What a move here on the NASDAQ. SPY going green as well. Big time pop here on the market, folks.
I think the register needs to be rung for everybody, saying you're going to see a bounce here. What a great call.
Yeah, you guys were all pretty much on that there. Judge here saying looking for 4 rate cuts. Top is saying I don't trust the upside move here. So with that, I totally understand that. Again, if you're playing the bounce here, I'd be trimming into this. You're going to leave a trailer on to see if we keep bouncing here today. I get it, but I'd be trimming into this move, at least get something booked there.
Yeah. That was a really nice move in TQQQ.
It sure was. I don't think this is going to be it either in some of these Q trades. And if you're thinking that this bounce is not going to last here, well, look at this SQQQ, pretty extended from the VWAP. You actually might get a trade there on a regression back to the mean if this thing turns around at all. Big time green candles, breadth across the board has gone green. SPY, Dow, Qs, Russell, and Nice all green on this move higher here.
Thank you for the nickname, Shelly. That's great. Apparently, I'm the Benzinga Oprah. You get a bell, or you get a ring. You get a register ring.
Okay,
you get a register ring. Look at TQQQ still going. Holy cow! Wow.
Jay here reminding us it's hard to do, but buying on the blood is working, at least so far here today. Tesla, big time pop. Dugan, what are you seeing here on Tesla, my man? Big time reversal here on Tesla.
Oh man, selling. Yeah, I'm selling too. I'm selling a lot of stuff that's really working. I mean, these space names are absolutely ripping right now. Movers, what movers? Everything's a mover right now. Look at
I was going
Rocket
to
Lab.
say,
Look at Rocket Lab.
There's no discerning, folks. There's no discerning. RKLB is Rocket Lab, right?
Yeah.
That is a good old-fashioned rocket here today. Take a look at the Costco power candle here. This is because I went there on the weekend.
Funny question. Is the SPY going to halt to the upside? I mean, I think it has to put in like a 7% move, right?
Yeah, I believe that first circuit breaker there is at 7%, and it has to happen quickly here. My port now gone green too, Pete.
Does it have to happen fast, or does it just have to happen before 325 or 315? I thought it had to happen before a certain time of day.
I'll be honest, 13, I don't think they're going to halt the market here for an upside move. I'm just going to throw that one out there. Tiger says, I love this job.
It's a fun job, isn't it?
I got to say, and this is also, just kind of, I do a lot of trying to judge the chat's sentiment just from kind of what I'm reading here. I'll be honest, none of you that I can recall came in here with fear today. Mm-hmm. Nobody jumped off the page here as being afraid.
Nope.
Concerned for some pretty big down moves. Yeah, sure. But nobody came. It didn't look like anyone came in afraid and was looking to panic here. And now we're seeing the fruits of that. So Pete here saying it does not. So for the indice, it doesn't have to be in a short amount of time. It just has to be before 3:25 p.m. Possible 90-day halt on tariffs except China.
Okay. Sorry for laughing. I appreciate that, Jay. I'm not laughing at you.
Yeah, here it is. So this is Jay is on top of it. This is per Hassett. I don't see him on CNBC. But here you go. Throwing it in the chat. Hassett, Trump is considering a 90-day pause in tariffs for all countries except China. By the way, JNVR opened and is moving lower here. Big time rally continues here on Wall Street.
This is the blueprint for the .com bubble is working so well. It's insane. I was talking about how I was using. I don't remember if you talked about this. How I was going to be using how the .com bubble unwound. I think it was in 2021. I'm sorry, 2001. Just the whole price action that we're getting now is so similar to what was happening then. If things continue, we should see some good movement to the upside through April and most of May. And then shortly before May ends or after it ends, we should start to see the market downturn again and get into that summer chop. But this is just absolutely insane. And I love every moment of it. Who's having a good day?
Yeah, this actually is really insane here. And this, I'm with you on this. So we just huge move green here. Also, Bitcoin now above 80K. Amazon ripping. Where's Izzy on the day where we need Amazon? What a buy that was here earlier today.
Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, let's look at the Mag 7 names and see how they're doing. All right, Google back over 150s, over 150. We already looked at AMZN. How's that doing? That's in the 180s again. Jesus.
STFU here saying, Ryan, it only took one weekend, but we actually saw some deflation. Did you see the news? I didn't see the news that you're referring to. I don't think. Maybe I did, and I just can't place it. We actually saw prices go down this weekend. So I filled up my car on Sunday, expecting to see, weekend higher gas prices. I am in Chicago. Or near Chicago. I am one of the worst areas for gas prices. I paid $3.82 for premium. $3.82. So that the price of gas has definitely moved down and is definitely noticeable. Costco continuing to trade higher here. Everything's still ripping.
And this is just the morning. We've been open for less than an hour.
Yeah, I got to say here, if anyone bought that morning open, I got to think that the prudent move here is to at least trim some, get some gains booked, add to your cash pile. You guys are making some pretty good calls here. Let's see. Where was that?
I was buying TQQQ on Friday, and then I just added this morning, but I'm out of it now because of this move. This is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, that is absolutely fantastic. And we'll get a register ring for that. So real quickly here, thinking about it, tariffs on odd days, no tariffs on even days, LOL.
Huh. That's interesting.
There's an interesting pattern.
You know what? You folks are right on. I definitely think this needs to be said. We may be seeing more selling coming up. Shelly saying short may be coming in 25, 50 minutes. STFU saying take your profits. These are not bad suggestions, folks.
Smoked Tuna earlier saying, just understand that even with the SPY going green today, these up moves are gift for bears to sell again. So again, I can't advise that you folks do anything, but what I will say here is that if you're trading short term and you just got a power move like we saw here, by the way, S&P futures candle has an upside wick now. This is an area where you would consider taking profit. Not believe the portfolio went green that hard. Wild stuff. Even ONDS is moving to the highs. I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Oh, man.
Judge, take care of yourself, man. Great to see you here this morning. Have a great day, all right?
Yeah, take care, Judge.
The amount of color shift on the platform here, when we opened, everything that was rolling through this unusual options was red. Every single ticker, whether it was put, call, it was all red. Scanner I have sorted so the green is always on top. I'm just blown away by how quickly this all changed. MSTR. So Jay Diamond,
trend line.
right to the trend line. Jay Diamond, how are you trading MSTR? We looked at SMST, the levered ETF that was higher here today. This to me, this running right up to the trend line and not able to get over it. This to me, actually, I can't even believe I'm gonna say this. This actually feels like it might have some more downside right from here. We'll see there, though. I'm not putting my money behind that, so just be careful. RL says, Ryan, I'm paying $469 for premium here in LA. That is insane. That is, I've tried to say insanity and insane in the same word and failed. Is that 91 octane or 93 octane?
Oh, looks like Morgan Stanley gave UPS a sell. Okay.
Well, so that's interesting then, right? Because we're seeing a bounce here. They got a sell rating. UPS is holding on to green. So that part of me wonders, it's tough because we have some extraordinary situations going on right now. But part of me wonders here if you got some bad news and the stock's not really trading down on bad news. If that's the case here, whoever was asking about UPS maybe being a potential dip buy here, this is one of the signs we'd want to see. Bad news, stock doesn't really trade down on it. Now, again, a lot of shit is going on right now with the market, and I'm not trying to minimize that. Sorry, just really quickly, off that power move higher that we were just ranting about, everything has come off that high, but it's not totally breaking down yet or reversing to the back to the mean. It's 91 octane. So that's interesting. So, wow, it's really bad out there. The premium that I paid for it, 382, was 93 octane.
Great calendar, work there. Bitcoin, I didn't even think about 90 days from now being July 4th. So we went from Liberation Day to Independence Day.
Oh, that's going to go over great.
Yeah. All right. Well, ICCT is getting hammered, as is, NWTG was. That went down to the open. Now it's trying to push back up. JNBR, this thing is halted to the downside, but still not at the opening print yet. Mesa, sideways, maybe even going lower. And then BJDX, that hasn't given up trying to break the trend line. It did sell off and go beneath the VWAP and get near the 65 EMA. But this is starting to look like this might have a bullish pattern, almost like an inverse head and shoulders happening here on BJDX. We could see a breakout on this if the volume comes back. What is QQQY? Zero days to expiry ETF. This is for the NASDAQ 100 enhanced options. So this is like, Ryan, do you want to take a stab at explaining this? Oh, I think you might be able to do it better than me.
Sorry, I was trying to read something else here. What did you need me to look at?
We were getting a question about what is the QQQY, and this looks like this is a 0 days to expiry income ETF for the Nasdaq.
I'm not familiar with this, but didn't Anne Marie talk about this briefly one time. Let me look this product up. Let me look that product. I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head, but let me look it up here. QQQY. Give me a sec.
Yeah, Mike is saying it's like YM covered call ETF 0 GT. Yeah, I think it's just one of these options ETFs. Kind of how like Bitto works similarly.
So this says Q. Oh, that's QQQY.
Looks like BJDX is trying to break that trend line. It's halt to that breakout. Did a big pull in the market too. I think we did.
See anyway. The first put right ETF using daily options to seek enhanced yield for investors paid weekly. I've never traded this. I've never owned this one.
Yeah, I think we were looking at a different one in happy hour that was.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I know what you're referring to here, but I don't think that was the same ETF.
It wasn't. I'll tell you exactly which one it was as soon as I find it here. That was something that I believe Market Mayhem may have been talking about.
I'm going to refresh my platform here. It's wigging out.
It's QQQI.
By the way, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, QQQI. This is expected to outperform the Qs as the ETF uses covered call options against their positions. So the QQQI might be one to take a look at as well if you're looking at QQQY.
There we go. Fixed it.
Excellent. All right. Now what's the SPY doing? Looks like that blasted off and pulled back. Yeah, down.
God, am I glad we were talking about taking gains on that?
Yes. So am I. That was fantastic trading. Now let's see what happens next. Do we go we get back to going higher, or is this just going to be a bear flag that we're going to see here? Let's see.
My charts are still wigging out like crazy right now. What on earth is going on?
Well, I think it's just kind of part of the whole craziness that we're experiencing today. I mean, people's brokerages are having trouble.
No, yeah, it's just the one instance here. Here's the chart that have been trying to pull up the entire time. It's fine. So here's the thing. FAS, this is the financial bull shares here. What a move. This is actually, I was talking with one of my traders, one of my trading buddies over the weekend here. 93 on that opening print to 117.
Whew.
You got a 20 plus point move here fast on FAS. So it looks like the ETFs, those are probably where the trading should be here today.
Are we at the point yet where there's more ETFs than stocks on the market now? It certainly feels like we're getting there. There's a ton of ETFs on the market.
look at my details tool.
It's totally wigging out.
I've never seen that before. Let me try logging out here real quick. I'll be right back.
Trump advisors feud with each other over tariffs. CNBC.
Haven't seen that. Haven't seen that report. Did see some back and forth reports there over the weekend on that. That's just going to help feed into the dislike. So after that pullback here, it looks like they stopped. So the VIX pulled all the way down to 40, bounced back here to 48, just kind of sitting in there.
Yeah, let's see.
Okay, looks like we're.
Remember, this is just a consideration. This is not something he's actually doing. No one at the White House is aware of a 90-day pause, according to CNBC. So Trump's just kind of throwing this information out.
Well, it was Hassett that said that, not Trump.
Oh, okay, gotcha. You're right. Well, okay. At the same time, Kevin Hassett says Trump is considering. So
right.
This is hearsay. All right. Well, all those movers from this morning, not looking like they're really doing a whole lot, except maybe BJDX. Once it unhalts, could break that trend line. But aside from that, none of them look particularly appetizing. But it's funny when an ETF holds an ETF, which holds an ETF, which holds an ETF. Now keep track of the fees. That's a great point. Give me an example of one that we've heard of that's doing that.
Sorry, I'm answering a question here.
That's okay. I'm asking Street One a question.
Oh, okay.
All right, here we are. Open BJDX. Opened above the trend line, trying to push into new highs, getting some sellers, looking for 10. It's at 10, and it pulled.
On which one?
This is BJDX.
Uh-oh. There we go. I just want to get it so I can see the ticker here. Here is your BJDX. God, we're right at that spot. Look at that. JNVR, that's really kind of pulled back to the pre-market consolidation area. That might be temporarily done here.
Looks like BJDX still wants to take out 10. Could get it, but we'll see. I'm not in this one anymore.
No one trading junks again after the SPY bounce. Daniel, do we even need to? There's so much action. I'm wondering if we even need to do that.
They are if the whole market comes back in and starts going bearish again. I think that'll change again. Because here we are now in the SPY, or the S&P, the SPY, we're down under 100 or 500 again.
So Mike here saying, "Fam, just sit on hand." So interestingly enough, we just got a huge move there, and now we're kind of moving back here. I think, Mike, you're probably right here, right? You would just kind of want to wait this out.
10:30.
There, then. Oh my God, it is actually. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, the whole market saw that and was like, "Oh, geez, I better take my gains." So here we are. That consideration pump, tariff consideration pump. So, yeah, not a bad idea just to sit on your hands. I mean, if you sold this morning, I think you're doing pretty good. Bearded Picker saying SLV and RKT. RKT, love that stock. Is it still going through short squeezes? Certainly looks like it. Haven't had the short interest this high since 2023, it seems. And if mortgages are going to pick back up, if rates are coming down, then Rocket, and you had a Wholesale and Loan Depot, and a lot of companies are going to be really attractive. Like the mortgage companies are going to be attractive, but they may not run until later. Is it 2028 yet? No, what happens then?
Those are people thinking you can't buy the market until Trump is out of office.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
The person asking that question. And I can't even get my chart to change here. I was able to get my other one to change? Let's see.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are right. All right, so I guess it could be a fun question. Does the SPY?
Do we make a poll out of this question?
We could, I guess, if we want. But what do you think about this? Do we close above or below the 500 price level in SPY today?
Okay.
What do you think?
Why don't we put the value in there? Producer, if you want to run this here. Well, we only have a half an hour left. Yeah, what the hell? Do we close above the 500 day? That value is 508.84.
The Wells Fargo short. I want to say I know. I think I know what you're talking about with Wells Fargo. They that was the result of their lawsuit, right? It's not $1 billion, but it's like 800 and something million that they have to pay. Am I getting that right? I think I saw the news, but I didn't read into it, so I apologize for not being more knowledgeable about that. But help me out, Mike. Is that what you're referring to for the Wells Fargo short? Meanwhile,
sorry, 13. I'm having the producer run that poll.
No worries, no worries.
Yes, there.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. That is okay. 800 million. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Okay. So just looking back here at these names, looks like the TQQQ is bouncing again, coming back up, looking for 42. NWTG, that's trying to recapture VWAP. Not confident in that one. JNVR halted to the downside again. Mesa trying to curl back up, still needs to recapture VWAP if we're going to have any chance of that happening. BJDX was over the trend line and now it appears to be losing it.
Looks like it's right there, also on that 939 consolidation area. Hey, look, Restoration Hardware, after getting absolutely shellacked last week, up here almost 12%.
ICCT, that dropped under 5 and then went back up above 5. But this is the warning that we were trying to tell you guys. $7 was where we were looking for, and it went and popped. That was the riskiest pop ever. Not ever, but there's a risky pop in the stock. I don't think we wanted to be buying into this move, and sure enough, we're almost cut in half here now. But look at the price action over the past few trading days. You could draw a trend line right up to that and get an idea of where this might top out if it broke over 820.
Lion thinks we go green one more time and then resume the downside. So you're looking for another put. Is that intraday, Lion? Yeah, so the White House, that's wild. White House is saying that 90-day pause is, quote, fake news, end quote. Those headlines now making the rounds here. So I'd actually watch S&P futures here as we are ticking lower here. S&P futures down 1.5%. We'll see if it moves lower from here or hangs on to that.
So is Kevin Hassett part of the White House administration?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I don't see how they're unaware.
I think that's the joke.
Jeez. What an opportunity. Oh yeah, I'm having a great day. This is so funny.
So S&P futures have moved another 0.3% lower since that started making the rounds.
Yeah, and I just saw the headline come out, and then as soon as that did, the price of the SPY dropped. It's just funny.
Those headlines still making the rounds here. Gosh, that SQQQ intraday trade, I kind of wish I took that one. Okay, you had to be quick on that one.
I'm kind of wondering if we just need to keep an eye on Truth Social for a Trump announcement. Because Hassett's saying Trump said it, but the White House, which includes, Hassett and Trump, is unaware. So is this just something that Hassett said in passing with Trump? Or because I feel like if this is something that Trump said, we're going to be hearing about it on Truth Social or the news soon.
I'll let you know if I see anything on. I'm not on Truth Social, so I wouldn't know. But if I see that get repeated here on X, I'll let you know.
Now shoot when you are feeling tuned in, because you are, man. Yeah, White House just confirmed. All right. Well, that provided some opportunities.
Crazy times. That's the volatility that you're going to get. Now, SPY here is still holding 496. So here, let me actually bring that up here. Get a visual aid for that as well. Here's your SPY. So it's actually holding the high end of the pre-market range. Did pull back off that huge rip there. Boy, gosh, I'm so happy we were saying you should be lightning into that move there.
Yeah.
So happy.
Oh, look at JNVR trying to get some support here at the around 12. That might
Fairchild, crap. I went to get coffee and I missed whatever it is. This might be one of those markets where coffee and bathroom breaks could be expensive ones.
Yeah, I mean, you got yours out of the way before
I
it
mean,
started
look,
moving.
my secret has been early and often, and try to give yourself as much time. It always seems to bleed over to the show. Not much I can do about that.
Oh man. The news you want to hear: limiting capital gains tax in 2025. Oh, I don't know. I mean, if they're gonna have to pay for these tax cuts somehow. And so far one of the biggest things that I've heard about them, as far as what they want to do, is, because it's been floated around Congress, is limiting the tax exemption status for muni bonds. Or that's kind of what I've heard. So bonds can be pretty good.
Trailing Paw says, drink less coffee, and those amount to fighting words. I love coffee too much. Mike's asking, what price does Bitcoin bust Sailor? He said 0. Said the collateral is not tied to Bitcoin, so it could pull back 99% and not mean anything.
I think it'll mean something.
Well, I'm just repeating. I mean,
I know.
Yeah, it would mean something to me too. I'm just repeating his quote.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think he's just trying to pound his chest, but I mean, I'm sure he's not really loving what's going on right now, especially after he spent all that money when Bitcoin was like over 100,000. But it is kind of going sideways around 78K. So there's that for now. What does a daily chart look like? It's got a neutral candle at the moment. We hit a low of 74,450, huh? Where's your limit order at?
Say that one more time. Sorry.
Where's your limit order for Bitcoin at?
70K exactly. 70000.
Well, this is the closest you've been in months.
Yep. I got patience with that too. So, and the other thing that really kind of helped me with that as well, I sold a chunk of BTC. I didn't sell all of the BTC, and I didn't sell any of my other coins, but that's largely because I'm staking Ethereum. Thinking about it, saying, hey, when we get more tax policy stuff, how about a capital loss deduction increase? It's been $3,000 since 1978. This makes a lot of sense to me. I know a lot of people are mark to market, but still, I think that would actually help. Folks with smaller trading accounts. I think that would be I think that might actually encourage more folks to get involved in the market as well.
Yeah, I'm watching BJDX2, Crow, and I'm looking to see if it's going to move away. But these wicks, these upper shadows that it's putting on in these 5-minute candles over the past 15 minutes is making me a little nervous about wanting to jump in here. We could get a rip if it holds above this trend line, but I just don't like the way these upper shadows are looking. It usually tells us there's some downside coming.
Market 494 here now. NASDAQ down 2%, down 1.78%, 1.8%. Now, VIX right here, back above 50. So that big pull down, VIX back here above 51.
Hussein, there was a rumor from Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett that said Trump is considering a 90-day pause on tariffs for all countries except China. Minutes later, we find out that was not the case. The White House saying it was unaware and that it's fake news. So that's been the process so far today. If you heard it from us, we're just reiterating what the news is saying.
Also, you were asking who Charlie is. Charlie is the voice of the Benzinga Equity Squawk. He's been doing that for 20 plus years too, so you might even recognize his voice just from hearing it. But that's what Mike's referring to. He's BZ Pro subscriber, and he's got the squawk on. Charlie is his name.
Mo is expecting a deeper pull on BJDX to about 850. That seems like that's possible, especially with the way these upper shadows are looking. I'm not too keen on BJDX right now. I just don't like the price action. I mean, it looks like Bitcoin is going to go lower. Just don't know when.
Bitcoin trying to hold here 78,500.
I think it's going to lose that level. Just looks like it continues to test that level, and when we get frequent testing like that, typically what happens is it will fall through. Well done, Tyler. Coordinated growth.
Are those nuke stocks still running? How's Carvana doing here today? Carvana holding about 4% higher here. Kava, that actually bounced a little bit. I still think there's more downside to go here on Kava.
Hong Kong vows to remain a free port as government calls new U.S. tariffs a bullying act. They are saying,
yeah, that was out earlier.
Yeah, they are not going to have. So it's well. Here's the thing. It's interesting. It's a break with Beijing on policy. So just worth watching.
So who thinks this market is headline driven?
Oh,
yeah. Very, very clearly. I mean, we get intraday headlines that swing the market back and forth.
It's
10-year Treasury back above 4.1 right now.
I would go so far to say it's just Trump driven.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Well, yeah, I guess the other countries talking about that. Never mind. Thinking out loud.
Because we had the Trump trade after he was elected. We had that that rally, and it was topping out. And then as soon as he started talking tariffs and implementing them, and we had the April 2nd, that's when everything started going down. This is Trump's market.
Looking around here, S&P 500 trying to hold right around 500 right here. Dow breath still green, although the rest of it is kind of sank on that pullback. And the thing that's interesting about that too is that the whole comment, it shows me that the market is really, it confirms that we're extremely oversold, and it shows me that this market is currently waiting for anything to try and rally on. So we got this little headline here, turned out to be, quote, fake news. Look what the market did. That just tells me here that any types of headlines like these likely to drive it pretty significantly. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some more of that.
You want to know what the next headline that's going to drive market volatility is going to be? CPI.
There you go.
That's happening in a few days. April 10th.
Okay, been an interesting morning so far. Don't think we're gonna be short any type of interesting headline. I think it's gonna be a wild week.
I could just sit on my hands for the rest of the day and be completely happy with that. I do not want to give anything back of what I've made. I think it's been a great morning. I hope everybody's had a great morning as well. I think that it's time for us to just exercise a little bit of patience.
So I don't either, 13, but I will be taking a look at seeing how we close up here to see if there's anything that I might try to hold overnight for kind of a short-term trade. I will say though, if I do that, it will not be on big size. I don't know that we're at the spot here where we really want to use size unless you feel great about something.
Yeah. Looks like NWTG tried to recapture its VWAP, not able to yet.
I don't think the time he spends golfing means anything. It didn't mean anything in Trump 1.0, and we saw from Biden he took way more vacation days than that. I think that's meaningless. So NMAX had that initial move here. That actually might be gearing if that can hold on VWAP. That's just nothing but a gamble, though. Jay, I like this here a lot. You have to have orders in before the move. It's so fast you can't react that quick. It involves a bit of luck, and that's definitely the case. That's why I think it's really important to stay with what you know, right? I feel like you're going to have a much better or much easier time trading what you know.
Seeing that there's being cuts at the customs and border department, which is weird. If you're going to implement tariffs, that's not really the department you want to be cutting, in my opinion. That's the one that collects the tariffs.
Unless he's talking about creating an entire new department, the External Revenue Service.
Let's see. But for now, I just have a question mark above my head. No, I'm not a quest giver.
Oh,
do you like that one?
I do. I mean, anyone that's played any type of RPG game can relate to that one. That is for sure. That is for sure.
Yeah.
Restoration Hardware continuing its bounce here today. Not bad. Has anyone seen anything crazy with options?
There was a lot of volatility. I'm going to go.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything I can really get behind, though, on the options in terms of like big sweeps or anything here today.
Well, I don't see anything I'm particularly interested in trading, nor would I think I want to. So, yeah, going to be a sit on my hands kind of day. Looking like some of these names that were running last year are also coming back. Got we saw the quantums, we saw the nuclears. You also have the space names. Drones, were they doing pretty well too? Drone names.
Well, everything was kind of moving with that initial move higher here. Here's RCAT. That's actually still holding higher here. ONDS lower, but fractionally. That still had a huge move. AVAV going to be your best in breed there. Come on.
Yeah, looks like
that's actually lower here, but still they're holding. They're off the lows. Yeah, Shelly, I saw this comment too. Branson, billionaire Richard Branson on tariffs, quote, the U.S. government can still turn things around, but it must act in the next few hours. He said it. He also, part of his comment there was give companies time to react to them, something like that. Saw that cross the wire here.
The next few hours. What happens in the next few hours?
I'm just reporting the quote.
Yeah. Thanks, Branson, for your ominous quote there.
Nike still holding lower by 3.5% at 55 and a quarter.
Well, just a bunch of things moving in different directions.
You think we're going to have kind of a tame lunch hour, or you think that gets wild again here?
It's all going to be about what comes across the headlines.
Yeah, it's all going to be news driven.
I think you're going to probably see some relative quiet until headlines come out. That just seems like how it's going to be. Just not a whole lot of trading. Maybe some things that are setting up may get some attention or have other headlines of their own. But a broader headline like tariffs, well, that's going to depending on whether they tack more on or take some off. That's going to move the market. I think that's what it's going to be.
Real quick here, I know Matt had a prior commitment here today, so I don't think we're going to get him today. But what I am going to try to do is I'm going to try to bring him back at another day this week. I'll keep you posted as I hear from him. I did really quickly want to reiterate. I know we're talking a lot about this being crazy stuff, volatility, headline driven, this, that, and the other thing. Matt's been extremely good at that. Matt was closing SQQQ calls this morning on that washout that we got up 2,400%. So again, folks, if you want help from someone that's been doing this for a long time, or you want to follow along with what Matt Maley is doing, I just threw a link to the checkout there in the chat that has a 7-day free trial. You can try it for free. Give it a shot. Matt's been doing great. He's been really, really helpful. Really, really helpful.
Jaboni's saying we should call Kramer for some advice. I don't really want to lose money. If I did, I'd call him, but I don't. So I won't be calling Kramer because I don't need his advice.
I'm always up for getting more opinions, but I don't have a direct contact to Kramer.
Nor would I want one. I saw him on an interview not that long ago. He's just as dumb as I thought he was.
Oh, that's funny. Hood, this is actually a lot of these tech charts look the same here. So we'll see if we get anything else. I'm encouraged to see that we're not breaking down back towards that 480 low there on the SPY, though.
MKDW going for $1. It says smoked tuna. Now look at this. What's going on with this one today?
Did we get any recent news on that, or is that just a pop here? No, that was from Friday. Seeing some Nike calls get bought. We just talked about that being at a 55, low 55 handle.
MKDW just sold 100 million shares. They filed to. I don't know if that actually closed, but that was last Thursday. That
I think Gibboni was saying that Colin Kramer was a joke.
I know. I was going along with it.
Oh, gotcha. Just playing along.
I didn't think he was serious.
SPY still trying to bounce here, 505. So just kind of going back to what I was saying, it really does feel like, especially today, it didn't really feel like this on Friday or Thursday, but today it does sure feel like the market is just looking for reasons to bounce, and that tariff delay fake story that we got really just kind of shows how temperamental it is. Market here, in the absence of anything else that I haven't seen any other news drops here, market is still trying to trade up.
Here's a good question that we can, before we I get off for the day, we can answer for Tyler Maldonado. He says, we all love Benzinga, and I selfishly wish the show went on all day. What's a good recommendation for something to watch after Benzinga content is over for the day? You want to field that, or because I have some comments on that as well.
Yeah, well, we'll do both of them here real quick.
Okay.
Well, one of the things that I will say here, and shout out to the producer because he does a really good job of alerting us to what kind of content we're going to run later in the day. So I would always stay tuned to our YouTube channel. If we're running any special content, we'll let you know and we'll mention it here. One of the things that we do in Pro is obviously the happy hour, which is open to Pro members only. But yeah, I mean, 13, whatever else that you want to suggest here. And then the other thing, Tyler, I would say, what are you looking for? You can give us some feedback on what you're looking for. Maybe there will be a need that we can fill. Gary, take care of yourself. Glad you enjoyed it here today. Yep. Thanks for staying calm.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. And,
Trader TV, those guys are good. They do it all day. They've got a whole rotating crew there. I like them very much. I think they're nice guys and gals. That's not bad.
So I'll tell you what I tend to do when I don't get up away from my desk and do other stuff for the day. When it comes to about this time where the market starts to slow down, this is typically where I start to research. This is time where the market's not moving a whole lot. There might not be as many movers going on when we have the lunch hour, and a lot of traders are away from their desks. So I use that time to just look at some things that I'd either like to be into or that I'm already into and just watching the news. But it's a good time for research, good time to take a look at some other things, maybe educate yourself on some companies or some trading styles. But I use that time, that downtime in the market for things like that. And then when it starts to pick up, look for other opportunities as well. But as far as where we can send you for continued trading coverage, I don't have a recommendation because it's just the kind of thing that I do with this downtime is to just research some more things on my own.
And if you're ever looking for something, Shelly says she books her therapist.
There you go.
So that might be something that you could do. Pete, thank you. And thanks for all of your participation here. I'll tell you what, Pete, when the volatility kicked up, so too did your participation here. And you've been sharp. You've been sharp with all of them. So good stuff. The only thing that I would ask for you in return, keep that participation level higher. I feel like it helps people. One of the things that we had discussed last week in happy hour, something that everyone felt strongly about that I would like to reiterate here. It is the differing in opinions, and it is the things that go wrong that make for the best lessons. And so the more that we can do that as a community, the more we can raise the tide for everyone around us. And also, varying opinions make us better at everything that we do. And you can expect to see some more of that. Pete, I appreciate that. And I appreciate all of your support.
What's coming up after this?
We've got Trader Bacon coming up after this in 3 minutes. I'm going to send you right over there. So yeah, that's what's coming up next.
So there's something that you could take a look at if you're looking for more content to watch while you're trading or maybe thinking of trades. I'm gonna go and do my little ritual of just looking to see what else I can find that looks good for a long-term trade. long-term investment. Folks, I think it's about time for me to split anyway.
Sure.
Yeah. So, folks, wonderful day. Great job at maintaining your cool. And we'll be back here tomorrow with some more price action that we can trade off of, and it'll be a fun day as well. Looks like MKDW just opened, and it's trying to go for $1. Have fun with that as well. Folks, I will see you tomorrow. Take care and stay green, all right? Bye-bye.
All right. 13 really, really good stuff here today. It was indeed a fun day. We will see you tomorrow. Touch that grass. Get ready for happy hour later today. Also, JG, you're asking for the link there. Just went ahead and threw that back in the chat. That is the one that contains the 7-day trial as well. Let's see. Just want to make sure we've got everything buttoned up here. We've got about 50 seconds left. So yeah, I guess I just kind of want to reiterate. First of all, just love the group that we have. Love how you folks all kind of come together with different viewpoints here and participate in all of that. I find it really, really helpful. Today was super fun, and I think today is only the beginning. We should have some more volatility and some more craziness ahead. So don't do anything that gets you in trouble here today. Don't give any of your gains back. Also, be sure, stand up, get that blood moving, get outside, get some sun. We're going to be back at this again tomorrow. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. I'm so thrilled to see that the sun came up and the world didn't end. We're going to do it again tomorrow. You are on what?